$17 million. Everyone thought it could happen and maybe even would happen, but hearing the news is a different feeling. What was your reaction?
This is the most, it's not personal, it's business move of all time. Because if it were personal, if we were just basing it off of what he means to this organization, what he's done, the relationship he has in the community with the team, then he's here forever. But that's just not how this thing works. This isn't basketball. He's not Haslam on the Miami Heat that played 20 years all seasons with the Miami Heat. I'm not sure if it was 20, but it was a lot, right? Udonis Haslam was there. This is football. This is a young man's game. In basketball, you can find your spot on the court, spot up for your three, help on defense. There are things that you can do at an older age. We're seeing LeBron do it, one of the best, so that's a bit different. But there are things you can do at an older age that can still make you extremely valuable for a football team. With Tyler Lockett, you attach his age, his production with the money he's being paid, and it's just a business move. So my first initial reaction was, I knew this day was coming. And then I go back and I start to think about all the good times we had with Tyler Lockett. And I am fortunate and blessed to have worn the same number as him. Didn't do nothing near what he did.
He wore the same number as you.
Nah. When you're Tyler Lockett, even though I went first, I still defer to the man himself. No, I thought that it was just time, and it felt like it was an amicable thing. It wasn't Earl Thomas, it wasn't Bobby Wagner, it wasn't Richard Sherman, and when those guys left, they were still playing some really good football and felt like they were still some Pro Bowl type guys, and they were, right? Bobby's still an All-Pro. Sherman was an All-Pro over there, a Pro Bowl over there with the Niners. So no, it's bittersweet because you understand the move. This had to happen. But it also doesn't feel good because Tyler is one of the best people who have ever put on a jersey in Seattle, not only for the Seahawks. Any jersey representing Seattle, Tyler's one of the best.
Well, and you mentioned amicable, and I think it's because no one can be mad at Tyler Lockett for saying, I still want to get paid money for my career, and I still think I'm really valuable. And so I don't know if the Seahawks approached him with a massive pay cut, and he thought, I know I can get more elsewhere. Or maybe Tyler thought, if I only have a couple years left in my career, maybe it would mean a lot to my family to play for Kansas City or mean a lot to me to play for Pete out with the Raiders, whatever it is. You get the feeling that there's still more to come for Tyler and that the Seahawks now have an opportunity here to revamp their offense, figure out kind of who's next in some of these roles. Let's go over some of those moments, though, because you kind of knew Tyler Lockett was special from the jump. He got a touchdown on his very first punt return in his pro career back in 2015.
Hecker, the Bothell High School product, gets the snap, and he gets away a rocket. Lockett standing all the way back at his own 43, makes the catch, has running room midfield. 45, there he goes, 40, 35, 30, he's going to go. 20, 15, 10, are you kidding me? Touchdown, Seahawks! Tyler Lockett, the first time the kid touches the ball today on a punt, brings it back 57 for a touchdown. Holy smoke! This guy is electric, and the Seahawks are on the board 6-0.
It's maybe unfair to expect guys to live up to expectation, but it's always really cool when they do.
Yeah, it's nice. Coming out of Kansas State, he was a great receiver and a great returner for his career. 1,078 return yards and a touchdown punt return. 3,188 kick return yards and 2 touchdowns. That was kind of how he burst into the scene. Look, I got to wait my turn. Dougie Fresh is over there. You have some other receivers as well. How can I make an immediate impact? It is in the return game. And was an All-Pro 3 times as a kick returner. So yeah, that was fun to see. I never watched Tyler Lockett in the beginning and thought he's going to be one of the greatest Seahawks receivers of all time, just because of his style. And I spoke to him and I told him this. I asked him this too. I go, where'd you get your style from? It's so unorthodox. It's not. I can't look at a silhouette of you and pair it up to anybody else and say he runs routes like Tyler Lockett. And he said, it's just something that was given to me. I kind of do my own thing, but I get to the right spots at the right time. And that's basically all you want to do as a receiver. Be on time, get open, and make the play. And that's what he did. And that's what I really appreciate. One of the things I appreciate about Tyler Lockett is that it's unorthodox. I see this man cutting on an in break with his inside foot. Typically, you got to push out that outside foot. I see the way he decides to catch a football and hand selection is a bit different sometimes, but it works for him. He's one of those guys where you just let him do his thing. He's on time. He's getting to his spots. He's making plays. Let him do his thing. So it was fun to watch Tyler to do his thing. And also, I loved when he used to hit the brakes on guys. So he's running. He's got him beat. He understands that the DB is on my hip. I'm going to slow down, get some contact, and burst again and go ahead and catch the football. Just the little things he did as a receiver, it was fun to watch.
It's always really interesting to me to hear people that have played his position describe what makes someone else really special because they see it differently than I do. For instance, like if you hear running backs talk about Christian McCaffrey, they'll be like, I don't know how he stays balanced. Like his balance is just impeccable. When you look at Tyler, you talk about him being kind of an unorthodox runner and some examples. How would you describe it to someone who doesn't know to look for those things? Is it that he flows differently? Is it a balance thing? Like how would you describe it to someone who didn't know?
It's knee drive, it's arm pump, it's body language, it's deciding where to put your weight when you're trying to go in or out. Because typically if I'm breaking in, I'm going to push hard on my outside foot. If I'm going out, I'm going to push hard on my inside foot. We're taught as receivers, you don't really want to cross your legs over at times. Sometimes there's a need to do it. And he did all of that. I would look at Tyler Lockett and tell my receivers, like, you can't run routes like that. Unless you're Tyler Lockett, unless you get to the NFL and you start having the success, this is how I'm going to create your foundation, and it's not going to look like Tyler Lockett. But sometimes you come across guys like Tyler Lockett, and they're able to do things. And as a coach, you just sit back and say, it's working. Go ahead and do your thing. We're going to start here, but if you're going a different direction and it's working for you, I'm going to let you live.
Another one of Tyler's great moments, Russ finds him in the back of the end zone for an improbable toe-tapping touchdown catch against the Rams in 2019.
Luke Wilson in motion on the left side. Russell, play fake, steps back, has time, still surveying the field. Now he rolls left. Now he scrambles. Now he's going to throw to the back of the end zone. Reaching up, making the catch. Did he get his feet in? He did! Touchdown! Seahawks! The littlest guy on the field climbed the ladder, kept his toenails in, and Tyler Lockett put 6 on the board for the Seahawks from 13 yards out.
It feels like Tyler was part of so many of those improbable catches, like whether it's this back of the end zone, toe tap kind of thing. He would just kind of appear out of nowhere sometimes. Even later into his career, he'd appear out of nowhere, and you go, how did no one see Tyler Lockett appear there? What did he do that could let him do that?
His awareness. So my sons, we'll do things around the house, and if someone bumps into the couch or drops a cup, we'll be like, awareness 30. Like we'll give each other awareness ratings, right? His awareness on the football field was like 85, 90. And it's almost like when you're running towards the sideline, that last touchdown, what's great about that too is that I got my brother-in-law tickets to that game in that end zone right there. So he was right there, has a great picture of it. But when you're running on the football field, you're not able to look at the sideline and say, all right, well, I'm getting close. Let's get my feet down. You have to feel it. It's almost like there's a heat sensor on the sideline, and you just have to feel it, and that's all awareness. And that was probably the best part of his game. People laugh or critique Tyler Lockett towards the end of his career because he would get down and not take the big hit. I call that being smart because you're 30-something years old. You can't take those hits anymore. And 2, it's just awareness. Like, I can't get anywhere else. Why am I going to take this hit? I'm going to get down. Deshaun Jackson did it. A lot of good small receivers used to do that. But it's all about his awareness. You have to feel space. When you are a receiver, you're taking pictures, right? I line up before the ball is snapped. I take a picture of what the safeties, the corner, and the backers are doing. I take 2 more steps. Unless I'm running like a 3-step slant, I'm taking 2 more steps. Boom, I take another picture. And now my eyes are locked on the safety if I'm getting vertical, make sure I get to my spot. So you're taking these snapshots in the beginning of your route, in the middle of your route, and then when the ball is thrown, now it's just feel. You're not going to be tracking a post, look at the safety, and try to track the post again. You just have to feel it. And that's what great receivers do. One of the things that great receivers do, and Tyler was one of the best at it. I'm telling you, man, him hitting the brakes on guys and then accelerating again, toe tapping on the sideline. There's been several times where we've seen that. It's just awareness, man, and that is just when you study the game so you can anticipate the movement of the defense according to what other receivers are doing and what the running back is doing. You can anticipate what they're doing and how they're flowing. But after that, it's all feel, man. It's like there's heat sensors all the way out there, the safeties, the linebackers, the sideline. You just have to feel it, and he was great at that.
What do you think is next for him?
Oh, he's going to get picked up. I saw someone in text lines. No one's going to pick him up. You're crazy if you don't think anyone's going to pick up Tyler Lockett. You can't expect him to go for 1,000 yards. But if he wants to play, he will play next year. He's going to have to obviously take a bit of a pay cut and make it team friendly. But now he gets to choose. And that's the good part about this now. Tyler gets to choose where he wants to go. He hasn't been traded. It's not like they're forcing him to go to Jacksonville. They're not forcing him to go to Indianapolis. He gets to choose whether he wants to play and where he wants to go. And teams are going to want a player like Tyler Lockett. It's not just about football. He can still play some good football. He put up 600 yards or something this year. He can still play some football, but it's about mentorship and leadership, and you're going to get a great person in your locker room.
Adam Schefter tweeted, like, hey, there's a possibility that he signs with the Raiders. Field Yates added, because he was released, Lockett can ink a deal with Vegas or any team right away if both sides agree. He doesn't have to wait until the start of the new league year to do so, meaning if Tyler Lockett does get picked up by another team, we hear about that immediately. It could be later today. It could be later this week. Maybe he does wait a month and just, see what he wants to do. But either way, if he wants to go to another team and if another team's interested, that deal can happen immediately.
Oh, yeah. This was going down. Pete texted Tyler like 2 weeks ago anticipating this. Dang well Pete making his rounds.
Oh, so Pete was tampering.
Hey, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to get Pete in trouble. Pete didn't do that. He had there was a middleman gauging the interest of Tyler Lockett. But no, if I'm Tyler Lockett, you're sitting down with your wife and your family, whoever you confide in, and you're making the best decision for you. And there's a couple of decisions you can make. Are we going for comfort? Do we want to stay on the West Coast? Are we going for location? He's a Midwest guy. Are you going back to the Midwest? Right, he's from the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Are you chasing a championship? Are you going to Kansas City, to Philly, or something like that? That is a privilege you get when you put in 10 years in this league and you are the second most productive receiver in Seahawk history. You get to sit down, you can make a decision quickly, or you can wait a little bit. Whatever he decides, there will be a job for him out there. Now it's just about the best fit for him. And I'm happy that he gets to do that. And, he's going to make a well-educated decision. He is not going to rush this. Even if it feels like maybe he signs a deal tomorrow. Maybe it feels rushed. I guarantee you it's not rushed. He's been doing his research.
Someone said any chance he comes back. I'm going to read Tyler's own announcement because to me it doesn't sound like it. He said, I really enjoyed being in Seattle. I met so many great people and captured so many great memories. The 12s really make this place meaningful. Although my time on the Seahawks may have run its course, I'm thankful for everything. God gets all the glory forever. That doesn't sound to me like someone who's going to re-sign with the Seahawks on a different deal.
No.
It sounds like someone who thought, okay, let's see what's next for me.
Yeah, let's move on. Next chapter. It's sad, but it can also be refreshing. It can also give him a bit more life. Or it could allow him to reflect and say, you know what, I'm done with this game. I've done a lot. I've made a lot of money. I'm secure. I have a career waiting for me when it comes to realty. Like he's got options, man. He has played this game the best I've seen a lot of people play this game. Never been in trouble. Worked his butt off. Extremely reliable. Trustworthy, a leader out there, lead by example type of guy. It's been a great career for Tyler Lockett here in Seattle, and I am so privileged and blessed to have watched it.
And it's in part because of this kind of mindset.
And so, again, like for me, I try to find the gratitude in this game and just the things to be appreciative of in this game because you don't want this game to divide everything that you've ever achieved and everything that you've ever had within the relationships and the people because sometimes the game can tear you apart. Because look at it from my perspective. I went from the targets I got this year are the same like in my first 3 years, right? But then I started getting more opportunities, which allowed me to be able to have better stats. But as you get older, a lot of people get to that place where the target share goes down. And now people say you're having a slump year or you're having all these different types of things, but they're not in those rooms of what you're being asked to do.
More wide receiver news from the Seattle Seahawks. This from Tom Pelissero. Two-time Pro Bowl wide receiver DK Metcalf has requested a trade, and the Seahawks have agreed to explore options, sources tell me and Ian Rappaport. Days before free agency, the 27-year-old Metcalf immediately becomes the top receiver available. Also, don't forget T. Higgins has been franchise tagged, so he's not available to sign in free agency. Bump, your thoughts?
My thoughts are I didn't think the Seahawks would willingly trade this man, and that's not the case. So the last couple of weeks I've been saying there's no way the Hawks are going to trade. Now, DK coming to them and requesting a trade, that is completely different because we all know that DK is very headstrong with his opinions and how he feels about things, and if he is not happy, you don't want him in that environment. And it's best for the Seahawks and it's best for him that they do find a deal. This one hurts because I feel like DK was going to be a big part of this offense. I felt like there are some things that he can do on the backside of things, but I also think that DK sees the writing on the wall and he's saying, well, JSN is the number one here. JSN probably fits his offense better. Let me go somewhere else and shine. Or maybe there's some relationship stuff going on. But at no point did I think the Seahawks themselves would say, hey, we're trading DK. It's different when the man himself comes to you and says, hey, I want to get out of here.
Do you think that this has anything to do with where Clint Kubiak's offense could go? Because John Schneider has reiterated the focus on getting back to the run, but then when we talked with Mike Haas or a number of other people who've analyzed Clint Kubiak as a play caller, they're like, this is a guy that could use DK. This is a guy that can make the most of him. So I'm kind of like, is this about the scheme Seattle's about to roll out? Do you think this is DK saying, I'm not going to get 1,500 yards here?
Possibly. It's a run-first type of offense. And DK being the 6'3", 223-pound, 4'3" runner, he wants to be able to open that thing up and go get it. I think he would be able to do that. But in this offense, I don't see him going for 1,500 yards when you have a JSN in that deal. And you can feel the way you want to about DK requesting to be traded, but he's trying to set himself up. He's like, look, I'm 26 years old. I probably got 4 or 5 really good years left in me. Let me go ahead and maximize my talent. JSN is the number one receiver. And I think we've been dancing around it, or people have been dancing around it saying, oh, 1A and 1B. We saw the way that the season ended. It felt like JSN was taking another step forward because he can do a few more things that DK can't, though DK can open it up the way that JSN can. This is DK being selfish, and it's okay for him to be selfish right here. It's okay for him to want to put himself in a position where he can be considered the elite of the elite. Now, he's got to go wherever he goes. He's got to go out there and do it. But I'm not mad at DK for requesting a trade because I understand why. And if the Hawks were to willingly go out there and do it, then I would have a problem. Like, what are y'all doing? But the fact that 14 wants to go, man, you got to explore it.
It sounds like this decision was made today. Tom Pelissero said DK Metcalf and the Seahawks met today, and the decision was made to pursue trade opportunities. Metcalf has 1 year and $18 million left on his contract, and any team giving up the type of compensation it would take to get him will likely want to do a new deal. We already knew that.
Yeah.
Whatever team is going to acquire, this is with any trade. If you acquire a guy entering the final year of his contract and you're giving up real draft capital, you're doing it because you're going to extend him. We saw the Seahawks do that with Jamal Adams. It happens all the time. So, of course. This, to me, Bump, is different than the Seahawks actively shopping DK Metcalf.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't think that's something that was happening.
No.
Based on what I have heard, I don't know. I have not heard confirmation of this, that the Seahawks were actively shopping DK regularly.
No.
The only thing I know is that the same thing everyone else does. A trade was always possible, and that there have always been questions about whether DK would be able to get the yardage, get the production he wants here.
Yeah. No, my sources have told me that teams are always calling about DK and that the Seahawks were not entertaining it. Now that DK has requested the trade, you have to entertain it. Because you don't want to force someone to be in a place where they don't want to be. You don't want to be. If you don't want to be in Seattle, then your demeanor changes. Maybe your work ethic changes. Like the quality of your life changes. You got to start thinking about the human being DK Metcalf, right? If he don't want to be here, he's going to be miserable. And it almost spreads throughout your organization at times. So find a spot for DK and make sure you get something out of it. The jacked up part about this situation is who you going to get to replace a DK Metcalf, right? A solidified number one at one point, number two receiver who can go for 1,200 yards at a blink of an eye and 10 to 12 touchdowns. A big outside receiver that will put pressure on the safeties and allow you just to throw a 50-50 footballs. Who are you going to get that is equivalent to that? And is that the type of receiver that Kubiak wants? You look at what he had over there with the New Orleans Saints. He had a big X receiver that can go get it. I forgot the young man's name over there, but he had that type of person.
No, I'm blanking.
No,
he's not there.
He had that type of personnel over there, so I would assume that he would go out there and try to find that. But where is that person, and who is willing to trade him?
Well, and we know that you can have that type of receiver on a team that runs the ball a ton. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown's still going to get his targets. Now, you're going to have some tension, I'm sure, when he's like, hey, it would be great if I could get a little bit more here. But that being said, a balanced attack and a team that can take shots downfield and run the ball on you is the deadliest type of offense. What I worry with the Seattle Seahawks, and the reason that I was hoping that DK wasn't moved, is that you can say as a team, we want to be a run-first offense. We want to run the ball more. What you do well is pass the ball. stats are stats. Like, yeah, you need to add to your interior offensive line. And yeah, you have good running backs. You've got 2 second-rounders in that backfield. But you were 28th in rushing yards per game last year.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that without 2 of your top 3 targets, you think that you can go from 28th to somehow like this killer offense? And maybe you can, but I think that any idea of shed what you're good at is a risk.
I think the DK request tells me that obviously they're going to have to switch their approach up a little bit. I think now they focus on really getting a baller tight end now, because we know in this Kubiak offense, tight ends play a huge role in that whole situation. Mm-hmm. Not to say that you don't need an outside receiver that can go get the football. Yes, you do. You need that. You got to go find that. But maybe it shifts a little bit. Jason is clearly the number 1 receiver. Now you go ahead and you go find yourself another versatile tight end that can block and get after the football when it's in the air. This makes this offseason spicy as heck right now. Lock is gone. DK wants a trade. What are you going to do, Seattle Seahawks? Kubiak offense is relying on the tight ends. Do you put more effort there? You still got to fix this offensive line. It just got spicy. This is a midday novella. That's a soap opera.
We're getting a ton of listener questions into the Mac and Jacks text line. Keep sending those in if you want. I'm going to look at them when we come back with Bump in just a couple minutes here. 866-979-3776. That's next.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Brock, what is your bold prediction for the Seahawks this year?
Every day at 7:45.
I was looking at the numbers defensively when it was all said and done. Finished in the top 15 in your major categories. I think year 2 with more time on task. Year 2 with a couple additional pieces. Year 2 with everybody basically coming back defensively and hopefully adding a difference maker third corner. This could be a top 5 defense in the league.
Blue 88 answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
The madness tips off next week, and with it comes your chance to win the Seattle Sports Bracket Bucks, presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Head to seattlesports.com/win to pre-register. Receive your bracket and compete for your shot at great prizes. The grand prize winner from the 64-team bracket will win $1,000 in Visa gift cards. But if your bracket is busted in the first round, we have other ways for you to play too. Register and find complete rules at seattlesports.com/win.
Let's talk about your hair. Well, maybe after we talk about my hair. I've got great hair, as you know, and it's because of Advanced Hair. Yep, Advanced Hair Restoration. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results that I can attest to. Guys, it's not magic, but it's close to it. They put hair where you need it most, and bam, it grows. It's actual science. Advanced Hair has top-rated physicians, modern technology, and best of all, you get your very own natural hair that begins to regrow the very next day. It's even guaranteed to grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now at 425-449-8185. Mention Curly to qualify for $250 off and $250 free hair grafts. It's a limited time offer. Advanced Hair, the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and the team that gave me my hair back. More importantly, they'll do the same for you, guaranteed. 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds, through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at Hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. That's Hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, our EV trucking company is officially in operation.
Andrew's zero-emission trucks are driving the transportation category forward.
We'll make driving safer, easier, and less stressful. Now our technology needs to keep up with demand.
He needs to put pedal to the metal on hiring more software engineers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, and outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen. And PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
You've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Since 1926, my family's been helping local businesses make great first, second, and long-term impressions. We know how to make your company look good with quality uniforms, logoed apparel, floor mats, linens, and more. If you're paying for linen service or doing it yourself, let's have the conversation. The information and quote are free, but the savings and service can really add up. Visit suplinen.com. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Woo, a lot of Seahawks news today. The Seahawks are releasing longtime veteran wide receiver Tyler Lockett. About 30 minutes after that news broke, we got news that DK Metcalf has requested a trade. That was a decision made today, apparently, according to Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport. The two sides, DK and the Seahawks, met, couldn't agree on a number for a new contract, and DK asked to trade. Bump, I've got a lot of questions from listeners, and I'm leaving the Mac and Jacks text line open, 866-979-3776. I've got some questions. I'm going to, though, start with the question I asked you last time just to get us going. Why do you think DK wants a trade?
He wants to get paid. He wants to get paid, and obviously they've been sitting down. It isn't like they just met today and were like, all right, man, let's try to figure this out. They've been going back and forth via his agent for sure over the past couple of weeks, trying to figure out what DK's value is in this league. Me personally, he's about $27 to $30 million. I think that's where it is. Whether you like that number or not, a receiver like DK will probably get something like that. He probably wanted something a bit more long-term, right? 3 to 4 years maybe. Wanted a lot of money up front as well. And at the same time, the Seahawks are trying to build this team. They're trying to solidify the offensive line, and they're focusing on the draft. So there's a lot of things going on right now. And I think DK wanted a trade because it started off with the money. He probably wasn't going to get the money that he wanted here. Now you start looking at the scheme and the emergence of JSN. I don't think DK has any ill will towards JSN. Not at all. Don't hate the player at all. But he's looking at this offense. He's looking at JSN, and he's saying, well, I'm probably the number 2 receiver, but I feel like I am a number 1 receiver in this league. Let me go be a number 1 receiver. Let me go get paid. There is a team that is going to give DK what he wants. I guarantee you there's a team that is going to give DK about $30 million a year, nice little signing bonus, and things will be fine. So I think this is just, it ran its course. You came to a dead end, and both sides were not budging when it came to this. And the Hawks were like, well, this is our offer. And DK says, look, I got a year left on this contract. I can play under this contract, but I want to get out of here. So now it's up to the Seahawks to either respect what he wants and find themselves a trade that makes sense for them. That's the tough part, because now it has to make sense for you. You do want to respect DK's wishes because he's done a lot of great things for this organization, and he's a good ball player. At the same time, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and get nothing out the deal. So this is where it gets a little tricky, because I feel like John Schneider and Mike McDonald will operate with some integrity, and we'll try to figure something out when it comes to DK, because he wants out. At no point, I guarantee you, at no point did Schneider and McDonald and Kubiak say, we don't want DK on this roster. No, it just came down to money, came down to situation. Jason's the guy. DK feels like he can get paid elsewhere. He probably will. So now go out there and explore.
A popular question I'm getting, does it weaken the Seahawks' position with trade partners knowing DK has requested a trade, as opposed to if they had traded him a week ago with it seeming unlikely they'd move him?
No, I don't think so, because DK's value is his value. I think that regardless of what's going on, of how DK feels about the situation here, it's almost like the organization and his agent are kind of working in cahoots now. Because now the agent, I'm sure they given him the green light to go ahead and start looking for a trade. You go out there and look too. We'll look, and you look as well. So the agent's going to negotiate on behalf of DK and try to get the most that he can out of him and kind of figure out the market. The Seahawks are going to do the same thing. They're going to talk to teams and situations and see what they can get out the deal. So, no, I don't think it hurts at all. That's the reason why he's moving, because he feels like he can get more money and be a number one receiver.
My worry, says one listener, with JSN as the number one and right now only receiver, it feels like, is that it feels like he needs volume to have effectiveness. JSN catching 65 passes isn't going to be a huge contributor to the offense, but DK catching 65 passes could still get you 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, different type of player. I mean, say what you want. People talk about DK as if he's a chump sometimes. They disrespect this man. Yeah, he might not catch the spectacular football all the time, but let's not forget about the fourth downs that he's caught, the touchdowns in between traffic. He can still make some tough plays. Because it doesn't look and isn't as consistent as the elite of the elite, they disrespect this man. There is something that 6'3", 225, 4'3" does to a defense. And if you haven't played football, I don't think you really understand that, especially not in the NFL level, right? When you have a threat on the outside, safeties get deep, corners get deep, it creates space. JSN eats bars. So so they need that, because JSN's not the type of guy that's going to run by you like that. Not one-on-one on the outside. He hits you with a double move. He'll go across the field. He's good at filling space like that. Not having DK changes things. His 65 catches to JSN's 65 catches looks and feels different.
I have more questions. Sorry to hit you with so many, but they're flying in. Does a DK trade influence Geno's extension, or is it rebuild time?
It's a great question.
I know, because I don't know. I don't think John Schneider has never seemed open to rebuild time.
I think that
ever.
I think it puts even more urgency and importance on making sure Geno's here, because you don't know what you're going to be operating with on the outsides now. You know you're going to have JSN. And we understand that Geno, despite his turnovers, right, is one of the best at working in a pocket where there's chaos going down. And he is one of the best deep ball throwers in the game. These are facts. I'm not making this up. This is not opinion. You run the numbers, look at the charts. He is the best at operating under pressure and pushing the football down the field. So now you lose a weapon on the outside. I think it makes signing Geno even that much more important, in my opinion.
Multiple people asking about Davante Adams, if you can help replace that production by signing him, now a free agent after being released by the Jets.
One more time, sorry.
Davante Adams is a fit for Seattle.
I love me some Davante Adams.
Always.
Love it. And if they were to bring him over, would not be mad at it. But I'm looking at and looking for a burner, a guy who can stretch the football field. I think Davante Adams can do that in his own way. But I think that you lose a lot by replacing Davante with DK, but you also gain. You gain a better route runner. You gain a guy with better hands. Either way, if you were to bring a Davante over here and you have a JSN, you still need that one burner that is going to hold safeties accountable. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I think that you go from an offense that in one play can push us 70 yards down the field to, all right, now we got to put 2 or 3 plays together to pick up that 70 yards.
We have different specialties. I know that yours is analysis and exactly these questions. I don't specialize in trades. I don't know much about like what fair returns are. That being said, for both of us, what feels like a fair return? Like what return? And I'm not talking an exorbitant amount. Like there are people that are like, for Myles Garrett straight up. No.
No, ain't happening.
But what feels like a return where you'd think, all right, it's a risk to move on from a receiver you know can be productive, but I'm okay with this.
I'm looking at just the top receivers in the game right now. There's some that are going to be untouchable, right? Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown. Rumors have it Ayuk doesn't want to be in San Francisco anymore. I don't know if you want to take on that contract. DJ Moore, Mark Cooper, A.J. Brown. I think you got to go towards like the middle of the pack when it comes to a receiver that realistically can be here. And I think you're going to have to give me a commercial break to do a bit more research and throw a couple names out there.
No. How would you feel about a second rounder?
Oh, a second round? Yeah, I'll take it.
That's what I was thinking. Is like
second round. But no, I want a body though.
Yeah.
I want a body.
Oh, so you're saying the only way that I feel really comfortable with this is a second, maybe third rounder plus someone else.
Plus a body.
Okay.
Because are we really going to sit here and say, let's pair up JSN with a rookie receiver out there and let's go make this happen? Unless you're getting like a Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, who I really like, who's a deep ball threat. Like you have to get one of the top 8 receivers in this draft, I feel like, to make it worth your while.
But I think that's how some people have always seen the trade, though, is trade DK for draft picks and then make your team better with young talent. I do think that's how some people see it. Yeah. So I'm glad that you said, like, I would caution you against having so few veterans in this room.
Listen, I'm not saying it can't go down and it can't be productive and successful. We've seen that happen before. Brian Thomas came in this year, balled out. You got Malik Neighbors as well. You're just not going to get that caliber of a receiver in this draft when there's really only 2 or 3 elite receivers coming out of this thing. You can find a guy. I'm not saying it's impossible. Trey Harris is my guy to replace DK Metcalf. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you can get somebody like that, go get it. But I would prefer a body for sure.
All right, a ton of news this morning. Obviously, you already heard the story of Tyler Lockett, who announced that he and the Seahawks that he's been released by the Seahawks. The Seahawks later confirming that news. We spent a good portion of our morning talking about Lockett's legacy here, and then we got breaking news from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network that DK Metcalf has requested a trade. So now we're looking to see how soon will Tyler Lockett sign elsewhere. He's immediately eligible, immediately a free agent after being released. And how soon could we see a DK trade? What are we going to get here in Seattle in return? What is he worth? Who are you doing, these trades with? And most importantly, what does this offense look like without Tyler and without DK? That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
People still weighing in on Geno and options, alternatives. Some saying, well, you guys are just satisfied with mediocrity. Some saying, get rid of him, take that 45, put it all into the O-line, and in 2 to 4 years, you're going to be ready to go.
With who at quarterback?
I don't know.
Somebody that you draft this year in the third round, like Russell Wilson?
Well, maybe somebody you draft in the next year's draft when it's going to be maybe a better quarterback draft. I don't know. This feels like the wrong year to be looking. It doesn't mean one of these guys won't become superstars. We'll see.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name. It's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
For over 113 years, Pacific Lamp and Supply Company has been your #1 lighting specialist in Washington, from the Space Needle in Seattle all the way to the Riverwalk in Spokane. With the largest lighting inventory in Washington, Pacific Lamp's knowledgeable and experienced staff can assist with any lighting issue, including intricate lighting and control designs. Plus, they work with all utilities in Washington to get you the best available lighting rebates. Pacific Lamp and Supply Company, Washington's lighting experts since 1912. Visit pacificlamp.com.
Meridian Glass reminds parents to talk with your teenage drivers about the dangers of distracted driving and texting behind the wheel. Make a family agreement to never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, or ride with a driver who is. Always designate a sober driver, use a ride share, or call a parent for a safe ride home. Best wishes to all our kids from the entire team at Meridian Glass, the family-owned professional glass experts in Puyallup since 1976. Online at meridianglass.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Celebrate the best of the best in Washington sports with the 90th Annual Sports Star of the Year Award Show on King 5. Legendary athletes and today's stars come together for one spectacular night of sports accolades. Hosted by Steve Rabel and Jordan Babineau, featuring Kenny Mayne, Cal Raleigh, Fred Couples, Jessica Campbell, Gary Payton, and Marshawn Lynch. The 90th Annual Sports Star of the Year Award Show, presented by Microsoft. Saturday, March 8th at 7 on King 5. Visit seattlesports.org for more.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball. Go behind the scenes with Wyman and Bob all this week from 2 to 7
on Seattle Sports.
John here with Happy Hauler. We want to help get your unwanted items to those in need. Furniture and household items you plan on throwing away? We'll take them and prioritize donating and recycling, keeping items out of the landfill, and giving useful items a second happy home. Happy Hauler is Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We work with over 20 nonprofits all over Western Washington to donate used items. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. Reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The Seahawks had 3 great receivers last season and will carry just one of those, JSN, over into 2025. That's assuming, of course, that the Seahawks and DK Metcalf don't somehow agree to an extension over the next couple days. But the latest from Ian Rappaport is that DK's requested a trade. And this news came just 30 minutes after it was announced Tyler Lockett was being released. Bump. I don't know about Jake Bobo. All love to Bobo. I don't know about Jake Bobo as wide receiver, too. So a couple questions for you. I want to figure out what this offense can look like and now what it needs. Are there names you're interested in? What's the draft class like? Tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, it changed the game for your boy for sure. I'm already watching film and breaking down wideouts. This is my favorite position. I am a former wideout. But now there's a bit of a urgency there because, like I said, I want a draft pick in a body, but who knows if you're going to get that. And what's out there and what are teams willing to give up along with a draft pick? Do they value DK in that way? We shall see. The NFL lets you know. So there are some names that I'm looking at, and I've obviously looked at some mock drafts, some guys, and projecting some things. And like I said, the first name that I want is Trey Harris. Trey Harris, young man out of Ole Miss, 6'2", 205 pounds, was banged up last year in 18 games or 16 games, I believe, overall, or if you combine a couple seasons, 1,300 yards, a bunch of touchdowns. Caught footballs from Jackson Dart, his number one option over there. Big guy, good route runner. I covered a couple of his games with the CW last year, and he can run routes at 6'2", 205 pounds. I like him. My next guy that I like, and this is in no particular order, these are just guys I think can fit the mold. Alec Ayumanor, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, young man. Watched him play at Stanford. 6'2", great at high pointing the football. He does what people knock DK for, right? Say we're running a route, Stacy, and you're on my hip. DK will kind of jump up and try to catch it with his body. This young man gets those hands up in the air and becomes 6 or 7'3" real quickly, grabbing the football out the air. He's around, I think he ran like around a 4.42, so he's fast enough to create some separation. Now, this one's going to sound like I'm just being a homer, but I'm telling you, this young man could help, and he will be available later on in the draft. Kyle Williams out of WSU.
Okay.
His game speed is crazy. His run after the catch, he gets behind the defense. He's not very big on his 6 foot, but you're looking for a guy who can take the top off of defense. He can do that. I forgot what he ran during the combine, but sometimes you just got to watch the film, and I've covered what I've called maybe 8 of his games throughout his college career. I've watched him. Not being a homer with this one. This is real talk. Kyle Williams can get behind the defense. Next guy I'm looking at is Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. Good size, 6'4", 214, and has great body control. Again, if you are going to lose DK, do you want to replace him with young men who can do a couple of things that he can do and add to it? These are complete receivers, those guys that I'm talking about. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, his body control is ridiculous. And then the last one, Matthew Golden, who just blew the combine up with his guy Isaiah Bond, saying he was going to break that record. Matthew Golden ends up running the fastest time as a receiver. Just speed and hands are decent. So those are my guys. If you can grab one of these young men in the draft, you got Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, Alec Ayumanor out of Stanford, Kyle Williams, go Cougs, Jaden Higgins, Iowa State, and Matthew Golden, Texas.
I've seen a couple people asking about Cody White, a few people about Bobo. I think what's important to establish, at least for me, is I don't think this team has quite enough talent and isn't quite complete enough to have a depleted group at wide receiver, to have guys that would normally be fourth starters, maybe a guy on practice squad, be your regular starting guys. And I know that we all want those guys to have as many shots as possible, right? You want the best for everyone. But if I'm being sincere, I'm genuinely worried about what trading DK takes away from your offense. Because, Bump, when I think of great offenses, the one that just won the Super Bowl, obviously they have the best run game in football, but they also had A.J. Brown. And when I think of offenses that maybe don't have that big X receiver, well, they've got a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Or they've got a great offensive line.
Or
something
great tight
else.
end.
You know, I was starting to think, like, what are offenses that are great without that guy? And the ones I could think of were like Kansas City. They have Kelsey, not as effective this year. But, I mean, the Bills spread the ball around a ton.
Well, the Bills also have
and
one of
Josh
those
Allen,
mobile quarterbacks in the game.
Exactly.
Who can make up for that. I'm looking at the Seahawks. If they were not to wow you at the wideout position and not go get somebody or draft somebody that is capable of coming in and playing right now, look, it's not the end-all, be-all. It's not, oh, my God, what are they going to do? Because when we look at this Kubiak offense, it's predicated on running the football first and getting guys open the way the Vikings do, the way the Lions do, the way the Rams do, the way the Niners do. There is a way to put a team out there without a superstar receiver alongside of JSN and still be effective.
Yep.
That just means the run game has to be on point. That means the tight end position needs a bit more production when it comes to catching the rock and being instrumental in the run game. There's a way to do it, but you don't feel the same way about this offense with number 14 not out there.
No, and maybe we see a very different version of this offense compared to the last several years when the strength has been the pass game. And to me, this sounds weird, But it becomes even more important to invest in your pass pro, to invest in your offensive line without DK and Tyler. You were 28th in rushing yards per game last year. I know that you want to be a great defense and have a great run game. You didn't. So I know that it wasn't their choice, maybe, but if you're moving on from DK and you've already released Tyler Lockett, that run game needs to work.
Mm-hmm.
It really needs to work, and it does not work without making improvements up front.
The only way you make an average or slightly above average NFL receiver effective is if you are able to run the football, because now you are able to use your play action and influence the defense to where these guys don't have to be the ultra superior athlete on the outside to where you just throw the football up. There are only a few guys in this league to where if they are covered up, you just toss that thing up in the air because they are that much better than everybody else. After that, scheme comes into it. The guys like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Brian Thomas, even throw Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, those guys can go get it. I don't know if you're going to get that type of guy with a second-round pick. You could get that type of guy, and who knows if you're going to get a second-round pick, right? We're just assuming a whole bunch right here. But there is a way to get receivers open, and that is being great in your run game, being great in the play action, influencing defense to go right when you're looking left.
Mm-hmm. A couple more questions coming in here. Someone's saying, does it make drafting a running back, which some people had scoffed at, suddenly seem more tempting?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, it's all about who's available at that point. If Genty is sitting there with his legs crossed, waiting to get picked, you for dang sure are going to grab him. I don't think he's going to be there. I think the priorities are still the same to me. It's all about that offensive line.
Yeah.
And if it's not offensive line, it's getting the best prospect that's available at 18.
All right, let's talk about what feels like a fair deal for DK, what the Seahawks could expect to get back in return. We'll look at past deals for wide receivers, what we can learn from them, and we'll also talk about what the Seahawks absolutely need to do this offseason now, potentially without one of their biggest stars. That's coming your way next.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Brock, what is your bold prediction for the Seahawks this year?
Every day at 7:45.
I was looking at the numbers defensively when it was all said and done. Finished in the top 15 in your major categories. I think year two with more time on task. Year two with a couple additional pieces. Year two with everybody basically coming back defensively and hopefully adding a difference maker third corner. This could be a top 5 defense in the league.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Hey, Brock Heward here. And as a former college and professional player and quarterback in particular, the years of wear and tear and some of those hits left my knee and some of my body in some constant pain. On and off the field, the weight room, all those heavy squats and all of it. In fact, my knee was really bothering me last year. That's why I decided to try stem cell injection therapy with Dr. Daniel Nelson at Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine over there in Kirkland. And really, it was an awesome decision. With Dr. Dan, the procedure itself was so quick and easy. In and out, same day. Next day, I'm out watching football practice, a baseball game, and the staff was absolutely A+. And my knee, well, it's a whole lot better now, and I'm back to squatting and enjoying a much better quality of life. Call Dr. Daniel Nelson, MD, with Eastside Pain and Regenerative Medicine. Over 30 years of experience. No one, and I mean no one, has more experience in pain medicine techniques. You can reach him at 425-823-4000. That's 425-823-4000 or DanielNelsonMD.com.
The madness tips off next week, and with it comes your chance to win the Seattle Sports Bracket Bucks, presented by Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Head to seattlesports.com/win to pre-register. Receive your bracket and compete for your shot at great prizes. The grand prize winner from the 64-team bracket will win $1,000 in Visa gift cards. But if your bracket is busted in the first round, we have other ways for you to play too. Register and find complete rules at seattlesports.com/win.
Looking for a smart way to improve your home comfort without breaking the bank? 2 words, heat pump. John Curley here. Upgrade to Home Comfort Alliance Heat Pump and get efficient heating in the winter and cooling in the summer in one unit. Heat pumps use less energy and are environmentally friendly. Plus, enjoy 18 months, same as cash financing, and up to 15% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems systems through March. Home Comfort Alliance for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
We at Three Tree Roofing understand that your home is your castle. That's why our certified technicians use state-of-the-art installation methods to deliver the highest warranties available. Check out our hundreds of online reviews and schedule a free estimate to see for yourself. Three Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
Windows are a home's top target for break-ins. At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we offer added security with our exclusive 3-layer security glass protection. Combined with our lifetime warranty, you'll have lifetime peace of mind. Choose Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center, she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. What? They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Breaking news earlier this hour, per Tom Pelissero, DK Metcalf has requested a trade. This after contract talks between he and Seattle broke down. More on that in 30 seconds.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. For NFL Network's Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport, DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. We're told this was a decision made today when contract talks broke down between the two sides. There was not existing trade talk. He was not on the trade block, but that's ultimately the decision the two sides have seemingly come to, certainly DK. With DK requesting a trade, he is your most valuable trade piece. Unless you were going to deal Geno Smith, DK Metcalf was your second most valuable trade piece. What can you get for him? Let's talk about some trade scenarios. Now, a lot of this is just going to be looking at cap space, looking at needs, eliminating teams that you would never do trades with. So for you, Bump, when you start looking at things, where do you see some potential?
Well, you got to start with cap space, right? That starts to narrow down who can do what. with that being said, if teams want to make moves, they can move things around and make things happen. But let's go ahead and eliminate 3 teams right now. The Cardinals, the Rams, and the Niners. Ain't no way, and you know what, that the Seahawks are going to be like, yeah, man, go across the street.
Take our best weapon.
Go ahead. And then and Brock Purdy, who just lost Deebo Samuel, go ahead and help him out. Matthew Stafford is going to lose Cooper Kupp. Yeah, why not? The Arizona Cardinals have Marvin Harrison. Go ahead and add another receiver out there. There's no way that that's going to go down. If it does go down, strike me down. All right. But, I think you got to start with New England because they have the most money. And they have Drake May over there. And everything we hear coming out of New England is that they love what Drake May is doing. They're making some changes over there. You have Vrabel, who is now the head coach, who's going to lock down that defense. But when you look at the receiver position right now, you have Kendrick Bourne, you have Kayshawn Booty, I think his name is, and Demario Douglas at this point. Not much there. You do have a good tight end in Hunter Henry. And then if you look at that division, you need some firepower. The Buffalo Bills are going nowhere. You expect them to get better. The Miami Dolphins underachieved this year, but they got weapons galore. And then the New York Jets are trying to figure their life out at this point. We don't know what's going to happen there. Next, the team that I'm looking at who you, me, and Curtis were kind of attracted to, the Los Angeles Chargers. We all know there's been a big turnaround over there, especially defensively. When you look at what they did last year in the draft, they picked up a great slot receiver in Ladd McConkey. My man has routes for days. His hands are great. He's not a deep field threat. Justin Herbert has one of the strongest arms in the game. What will make him look even more attractive throughout the season in the playoffs is having a receiver who can fly down the field and make the play. Quentin Johnston was supposed to be that guy, but he's underachieved a little bit. If you call 55 receptions for 711 and 8 touchdowns, underachieving. Just not the style of play that they were expecting out of him. I also look at the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans, they have the number 1 pick in the game. They go out there, draft Cam Ward, and get him a weapon right now. That is how you support and nurture a quarterback. You make sure that he has a guy that he can close his eyes and just toss the football up to. Calvin Ridley is still over there, one of the better route runners in the game. You have Nick Westbrook. I forgot how to say his full name. The guy who they drafted in front of DK, and Tyler Boyd over there. If you were to get Cam Ward with the number 1 pick and give him a wideout, I mean, you're in the running. You're looking good because that division, I wouldn't say it's wide open because the Texans should be good to go, but we know the Colts have been struggling. They're bringing in a quarterback to push Anthony Richardson, see what happens there. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars just got a new coach, got a new GM. They got some things going on over there. To me right now, if I'm the Tennessee Titans and I'm hearing this news, I'm doing everything I can to grab DK Metcalf.
If DK wants to get traded to a contender, obviously you're hesitating. But I was looking up, so I pulled up the picks for the teams that you listed. We'll go Patriots, Chargers, Titans. Do you think that they could get a first rounder? I'll name the first round order. We know the Titans are number 1. The Patriots are number 4. The Chargers have 22 overall. Maybe that 22 overall is part of a trade. I don't know that you're going to get number 4 and number 1 given
also,
up for DK.
Big ups to Polk in New England as well. Forgot to mention him.
Yes. Second rounders. Tennessee has 35 overall. New England 38 overall. Those are still really good picks. This is still a draft where you can get really good wide receiver talent on day 2 and really good offensive line talent on day 2.
I'm only seeing in the mock drafts that I've seen 2 receivers go in the first round. 2 or 3 receivers. McMillan out of Arizona. We got Golden out of Texas. And then there's one more that I think the young man out of Missouri. You can find some guys later. I've talked about the wideout position, and I haven't been as enamored as I've been the last few years as far as the talent. Not to diminish them and say there isn't any talent out there. It just doesn't compare to the guys that we've seen in the past. If you can get a high second-round pick out of this deal, I'm all for it. Because you're looking at Cleveland. Cleveland has the 33rd, say the first pick in the second round. I don't think they're going to go receiver there. You got the New York Football Giants. I don't think they're going receiver there. The Tennessee Titans might go receiver if you're not able to work a deal to get DK Metcalf. There's some space. There's some room to work. I mentioned Trey Harris as my guy, and there's no telling where he's going to go. But Luther Burden is the young man out of Missouri. After McMillan, Golden, and Burden, you have Emeka out of Ohio State, who's been projected to go in the late first or early second round. Big up Steilacoom High School down south. You got Trey Harris. You have Alec Alumaner. There is a place where you get yourself the type of receiver to pair up with JSN and possibly for the long run. I still think no matter what you do in the draft, you got to bring over a veteran receiver as well.
Yes, because I'm having flashbacks to the Titans, and I know Mike Lefko would hate to hear this. Obviously, you mentioned it, trading A.J. Brown, thinking they could replenish that talent with a first-round wide receiver, and it didn't work out. In part because they didn't have the quarterback talent to really support that decision. But I think sometimes royal we, assume you can replenish talent with more talent by just drafting. Just go buy that. And I think what you're cautioning in your analysis is, hey, I really like some of the day two guys. I'm not as enamored with this class for first-rounders. And, I think that there's a world where you could make a deal with the Chargers, maybe with the Titans, and get a really good second-round pick. Right. But that doesn't mean that you replace that production. So my question for you would be, where do you use, let's say you get a second-rounder. Are you immediately prioritizing wide receiver and going, let's turn to a rookie? Or are you continuing to go, I'm looking at that offensive line?
It depends on what you do at 18, right? If you go ahead and get a Booker or a Zabel or one of the offensive linemen who have shined over the past couple of weeks. And I think with that second-round pick, you can start to look elsewhere. You can start to look for the best available or for need. I think you can do both. And if you were to get an offensive lineman there, you get a second-round pick. Yeah, I'm looking right at the receiver spot because you need weapons. You need weapons. Geno threw X amount of interceptions last year, and he had DK, JSN, and an aging Tyler Lockett. Now, a lot of this, obviously, is because of that offensive line not being able to protect him. But if a quarterback does not trust what's going on the outside, a couple things are going to happen. He's not going to be 100% committed to the throw, or he's going to hold on to the football and take a whole bunch of sacks. And you don't want that. The best receivers in the game, let's just top 10 last year when it comes to just yards. All right, there are 3 rookies in that group, right? You have Brian Thomas, number 3 in the league with 1,282. You got Malik Neighbors, number 7 in the league with 1,200, and Lad McConkey with 1,100 yards. I just told you that I don't look at this wide receiver group the same way I look at last year's wide receiver group. Could there be a rookie receiver this year that jumps in the top 10 as far as production? For sure, because these guys are ready to go. I just want him to be supported. How do you support a young receiver? You match him up with JSN, you bring in a veteran, and you address that offensive line. No matter what you do at the receiver spot, if you don't address that offensive line, it means absolutely nothing.
Well, exactly. Again, I completely understand the idea of, and I remember Salk introducing this topic, and he got, nailed for it, but I thought it was a good point, a fair point, which was, you want to be a team that's great in the trenches, and yet you are one of the lowest spenders on your offensive line and one of the highest spenders at wide receiver. How do you make the most of your big investments? It's like, parking, your Lambo in like a shed. It's just kind of it didn't quite make sense. It's almost like, I think Salk was saying, this pool of wide receivers that you have that you're spending money on is almost like a luxury, and it's great to be able to draft them and collect that. But you can't take advantage of them. You can't have an elite offense with an offensive line that bad. However, do I have full faith they can fix that offensive line in one offseason? I would love for this run game to take off. I want to know the missing ingredients to make it take off.
I think they can. I honestly do. I think if Abe is healthy, which I don't know if y'all follow Abe on Instagram. My man was working out the other day. And then get into his Pass Pro, and I watched that thing 100 times. I go, he looked great. All right, it's on air. Nobody's there. I don't care. It looked great. I think Charles Cross. There's some people who think, oh, he's not a Pro Bowler. So what? He's ranked top 14 when it comes to his position or something like that. And then at the center position, we're still waiting to see if Olu is going to pan out. I think that if they are able to hit, you have to hit on this draft when it comes to offensive linemen. You drafted Haynes, you drafted Jarrell, you drafted Laumea. Every year you drafted an offensive lineman. You drafted Anthony Bradford. You have tried your luck with the offensive line, and you haven't been able to hit. Last year, I think that the guys that they brought in weren't ready to play right now, but they might be ready to play later. That's why you go ahead and bring in a new offensive line coach or run game specialist, because you look at least I do, and some other people do, I look at this offensive line, and I feel like, look, if you develop one of these guys, just one out of the 3 guys that I've mentioned, maybe bring in a veteran and draft one, you could be okay, especially with the scheme that you're running, this new Kubiak scheme. It's not a straight drop back, 80% of the time throw the football. It's moving you. It's taking advantage of the slants. It's using leverage against the defense. There is a way that they get this right, but they have to hit. You have to find your guy this year that's going to start week 1.
A couple more questions into the Mac and Jack's text line. A lot of people just wanting to know. We did initially have someone say, do you not do an extension with Geno now? I think now popular questions are mostly like, what does it mean? What do Geno's responsibilities become? I mean, I don't quite know how to answer that question, but what it means is that your offense does change fundamentally.
It was changing regardless.
True. Maybe that's why DK is already
It was
bothered.
changing regardless. We weren't going to line up and run back what we did last year.
Yeah.
That's why Ryan Grubb is in the SEC right now. It was going to change regardless. And I think it was going to change for the better. Not having DK affects the threat offensively. But like I said earlier, I think that in this offense, you could plug in a young guy or a veteran type, and he can still be productive. What you need, what you're banking on, is JSN going nuts. JSN has to be the guy, 75, 80 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns. He now has to be that guy. And I think he can. But I think that he's such a complimentary number 1 type receiver that he needs somebody on that outside just to be the threat. Just to be the threat. Like, Stacy, there could be a dog behind a fence barking like crazy. I know that dog ain't getting beyond that fence, but I ain't getting close.
No.
I'm not getting close.
You never know.
You
really never know.
That's what you need out there. You're looking at a nice 6'2" guy running a fofo who can go get it, and you're saying, you never know, I'm going to stand this back pedal a bit longer.
2 things. Number 1, with the idea that DK wants to be traded to a contender, I've had a lot of people asking if he has a no-trade clause, which he would presumably nullify a trade to a team like the Titans. Looking it up, I don't see one. We will see if we can connect with someone like Brady Henderson later in the show and ask him more about that. I don't know that he does have a no-trade clause, though.
I don't know.
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does either.
Secondly, why am I seeing a million texts from people asking about a DK trade to the Cowboys?
That's interesting.
I'm not kidding. I've got
That's
at least 10.
Well, here's their thinking. At least I think this is what they are thinking. CeeDee Lamb needs some help over there.
Yeah.
He can't just be the number 1 guy.
Yes.
We've heard rumors of possibly the scenario of getting rid of Micah Parsons and freeing up some space and starting like a rebuild defensively while trying to enhance his offense. I think that's where this is coming from. To me, it doesn't make too much sense, but you can't rule out the possibility.
Yeah, it's like I can see if I was building a roster in Dallas, I would fundamentally want more depth, and I would want him to be part of my offense. Spending $30+ million on 2 wide receivers is a lot of money when you've already got a $60 million quarterback. There was news from Adam Schefter a couple minutes ago that the Cowboys restructured Dak Prescott's contract, opening about $36 million in cap space. So they've opened nearly $60 million in the last 2 days with an additional move on CeeDee Lamb. So they are creating more cap space. They needed to. They fundamentally needed to in the first place, but maybe that's also playing a role.
But you can't out-offense everybody. And that's what I see if the Dallas Cowboys were to try to make a play on DK. You're just trying to out-offense everybody, and it ain't going to work like that. I think we've seen the Chiefs a couple years ago win a Super Bowl because their defense was on point. We saw Philly win a Super Bowl because their defense set the tone and everything else kind of fell in line. So that would be an interesting approach for the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't see that being conducive to winning a whole bunch of games.
Let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down. If not Sam Howell or a drafted rookie, who would you like to have as Geno's backup in 2025?
Fight for Washington State. Win a victory. We're going to win the day for Crimson and Gray. Best in the West, we all do our best. Gardner Minshew. And look, you could roll your eyes like you did,
No, I
Stacy.
didn't. I did.
You can make that face you make. But listen, if it ain't Sam Howell, if it ain't a rookie that you're bringing in, why not go with a guy who has 68 career touchdowns and 34 interceptions? He's mobile enough to get you out of trouble. Yes, his career record is 17-29, but he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars, had a couple starts for Philly, and then ended with the Las Vegas Raiders, who are going absolutely nowhere. Gardner Minshew is like going to be the white Jameis Winston when it's all said and done.
That's actually a great comparison.
Like, he's going to be entertaining.
Yes.
He's going to win some games for you. He might lose a couple for you, but he's going to keep you in the fight. Why not go after Gardner Minshew if it's not Sam Howell or a rookie quarterback coming in this thing? I think that it'd be fun, but I also think that he has won games. I know we look at his mustache and his hair and his personality, the jorts and all that stuff, and we kind of pigeonhole him as just a character. But when it comes down to it, he's played some good football. And you put him in a system that he understands. He doesn't have to be the guy. He plays best coming off the bench when someone is banged up. He is like the sixth man in the NBA. He is Lamar Odom back in the day. Lamar Odom for the Lakers, sixth man off the bench, come in and do his thing, and then go ahead and sit down. That's the way I see Gardner Minshew. I know you dogs aren't going to like it, but listen, why not? What else you got out there?
I will say Gardner Minshew, incredibly likable. Like, I'm rolling my eyes at the fight song for the Cougs, but Gardner Minshew is a very likable guy. Second down. What's so fascinating about the greatest wide receiver in Seahawks history?
Wide receivers. I should have put an
Wide
S there,
receivers.
Stacy. Sorry, that's on me. I write these shit this reason. The greatest thing about this, you got Steve Largent, 5'11", 187, 13,000 yards, 819 receptions, 100 touchdowns. The next, this will stand for a while now because DK want to get out of here. DK could have been the only one to kind of challenge this. You got Tyler Lockett, 5'10", 182 pounds, 8,500 yards, 661 receptions, and 61 touchdowns. Big ups to the under 6 footers.
Yep.
You're looking at Seahawk history, and you're going to have two guys under 6 foot who are the leaders in receiving yards, touchdowns, and receptions. I think that's just refreshing, man, because everyone's looking for a DK. Everyone's looking for an A.J. Brown. Everyone's looking for Jamar Chase. Jamar might be like 5'11", 6 foot. He's special, though. But it's nice just to see the little guys stand up and do their thing. Big ups to Tyler Lockett, man. It's been a pleasure to watch you play here in Seattle. It's been a pleasure to interview you over the last 7-8 seasons I've been a part of the Seahawks organization. He's consistent. He's engaging when he's sitting there talking to us. He gets thoughtful answers, and he goes out there, and he's made play after play after play. So big ups to Lockett, man. Some of my Tyler Lockett memories. 15 receptions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, week 7 against Arizona. Oof. 9 receptions, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, week 3 in 2020 against Dallas. 13 receptions, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns in 2019 against Tampa Bay. 7,974 snaps, only missed a few games, broke his leg that one year, and then missed a couple games after that. 3-time All-Pro as a returner. Big ups to Tyler Lockett. Big ups to Steve Largent. DK is going to be out of here, so now we got to start all over somebody trying to chase these records.
Third down. Fly on the wall approach here. What do you think was said in a meeting between the Seahawks and DK that made DK want to be traded?
It started with money, and they're saying, look, DK, we have to invest in this offensive line. We have to make sure that the defense is on point. We got to get depth in other places. This is what we're going to offer you. They slide the piece of paper across the table like they do in the movies. Mm-hmm. He looks at the amount. He looks at his agent, and they shake his head. And also, what him and his agent have done is they're looking at Kubiak's offense and how he's going to be used. And I guarantee you, they saw a place where the tight end and JSN shined a bit more than the outside guys. And in this offense, I think that will be the case. And the Hawks probably didn't do enough to kind of put those thoughts aside or to reinforce belief in DK and his abilities and them being able to get him the football. But listen, DK has to do what is best for him. I am not mad at DK, not one bit. He should be trying to get $30 million. He should be trying to get 100+ targets a year. He should be trying to be one of the best receivers in the game. He's 26, 27 years of age. He's got a few more years of elite play in him. Go ahead and chase that money, dog. Chase the money, chase your situation, and go ahead and be great. So I think it came down to money and then the offense and then the emergence of JSN. If JSN had the year he had his rookie season, then maybe they're not even talking about this. Maybe it's not a concern. But it's a bunch of things, man. It's never just one thing. It's unfortunate. The Hawks were never going to do this on their own. But as soon as a man sits down and you can't come together when it comes to a number and he wants out, you got to start exploring.
Fourth down. Who's going to feel the most pressure from the DK trade request?
On the field is going to be Gino, because we don't know what he's going to get. But right now it's up to John Schneider. John Schneider has to figure out a way to make this make sense for Kubiak and his offense. So I guarantee you he's sitting down with Kubiak. They're looking at who's out there, who could be available, what draft picks, what prospects are available out there. And they're trying to figure out what type of receiver can we get, what type of receiver do we need. This is where John has to shine. Because Mike McDonald, first-year head coach, doesn't have the connections, obviously. He doesn't have the Rolodex of numbers and all that stuff that John Schneider has. He's got to work that personality. If you know John Schneider, man, he's a hustler. He knows everybody. I walk with him sometimes from the field to the press box, and he shakes 1,000 hands, and he understands people. So now he's got to lean on those relationships and then lean on the knowledge of this offense when it comes to Kubiak and what he needs to replace a DK Metcalf. Can you get that in the draft? Or do you have to go out and grab a body? It's going to be interesting, man. But I'm looking at Schneider and saying, do your thing, dog.
Can I toss in like a 2-point conversion?
Let's get it.
Not such a thing as a fifth down, but earlier we were looking at a list of teams with a lot of cap space just to think of realistic options. And there was a ton of news this morning about Dallas creating cap space as well. So even though it may not be reflected on over the cap, we'll kind of throw them in there. Is there a team, excluding the teams in the NFC West, that like you root for DK's success because you know you like him, but it would kind of hurt you? Like it would hurt you a little bit to know he was playing for this team because he'd probably be thriving.
Man, I'd probably look the Commanders, but they just signed Debo, right? They still got a bunch of cap.
I was gonna
still got some
say
cap space,
the Commanders could still
do it. But they have to focus on that defense over there. But I would not be mad at them if they went ahead and grabbed them a DK. And then probably if he were to get a deal with the Detroit Lions too, man, because you got a Amon-Ra St. Brown over there. I think Reynolds is over there as well. Jameson is. They have a squad, but anybody but anyone in the NFC West, I'd be okay. Pittsburgh needs a receiver, but they also need a quarterback. You have Justin Fields there. Sounds like they're going to sign him. DK and Pickens could be a good match, but there's a lot of two-receiver combos. You're kind of going to the same type of offense that Kubiak's going to run a bit when it comes to the personnel groups. But no, if he were to go to the Commanders, goodness gracious, I'd give him one strong clap.
We are not going to just talk about the DK trade all day. There's only so much we can cover before we're waiting on additional news, before we're waiting to see what we can hear. So coming up at 11:45, a former Mariner had some jaw-dropping things to say about this team's direction. Again, that's coming up at 11:45. And then the last bit right now on DK is a popular question I'm seeing from listeners. What does DK requesting a trade say, if anything, about the Seahawks direction? That's next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Joining us here in the booth, Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill.
Julio being Julio is still going to matter, I think, more than anyone else you bring in. I think he can be a true difference maker, all-star MVP quality. I mean, we all know what his ceiling can be. And I'm actually really confident that he's going to have a big year. And because we have seen it in flashes where he has been among the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
Like the absolute best player that this game has to offer.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. Has Viagra stopped working for you? Do you hate the side effects? If you've taken Viagra for any length of time, you already know that pills are not the solution to ED. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we have a better approach to ED. Acoustic wave therapy creates blood flow circulation by safely removing the plaque in your arteries and restoring function naturally. No pills, no shots, no surgery. We can also treat Peyronie's disease. Our non-invasive treatment for ED is painless and highly effective. We have treated thousands of men just like you. Stop living with this problem and do something about it. Do yourself a favor, do your partner a favor, and call us today.
Call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com. HSA cards welcome and financing available.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's next tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Saturday, March 8th at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-Little Leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it. Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Shane Company engagement rings are expertly crafted to fit both your style and your lifestyle.
My wife's an artist and works with her hands. Shane Company helped me create a ring that's beautiful and sleek. She loves it.
Shane Company rings are crafted with care using high-quality materials, and we set each center stone by hand in our jeweler's workshop right here in our store. We also protect your ring, including the center stone, with our unmatched free lifetime warranty. Let us help you find your perfect ring, in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. With thousands of full replacements with expert craftsmanship and unbeatable warranties, we've been building roofs you can trust for over 5 decades. It's more than just a job, it's our promise to you. Protect your investment with a free Golden Pledge warranty on all GAF roof replacements over $15,000. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
We know finding a company to trust with your home is a big decision and one we look forward to earning with incredible service, top quality products, and lifetime warranties. Adrian here, owner of Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Our windows are feature-rich with our sound package that reduces noise by 50%, clean glass technology, and added protection with our exclusive First Guard 3-layer security glass. Learn more about all of these features at lakewashingtonwindows.com. Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust.
Ladies, and you guys too, have you noticed visible signs of aging, those deep wrinkles, fine lines, and facial creases stealing your youthful glow? Sagging skin, crow's feet, and loss of facial contour are all natural effects of aging, but you no longer have to let them define your appearance. Introducing the New Skin Lift, the groundbreaking facelift led by Dr. Brian Scott. The advanced New Skin Lift addresses key signs of facial aging for women and men, restoring natural youthful contours. Whether it's replenishing volume lost over time or lifting the skin to smooth out those creases, the New Skin Lift can help you look 10 to 20 years younger with both surgical and non-surgical options. It's Hollywood's best kept secret and now available to you. Get a free consultation and save $250 off your New Skin facelift. Schedule at newskinlift.com or 206-222-1225. Look 10 to 20 years younger and restore your youthful appearance with the New Skin facelift. newskinlift.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Coming up in 15 minutes, a former Mariner goes scorched earth on the team's direction. Before we get to that, Bump, I got this question in particular from a listener, but many others that are similar. Y'all might have covered this already, someone said. Why would DK ask for a trade? We did, so don't answer that question. But did they said money, vibes, maybe not believing Seattle can compete, all of the above. I wanted to focus on the last part. Does it say anything about the Seahawks, maybe a player's lack of belief in them, anything at all to you if a player requests a trade from a team? Because normally that to me is bad vibes.
They were 10-7 last year.
Yeah.
1 game away from the playoffs. I don't think it's a non-belief of them being able to compete. They competed last year. I mean, the Rams snuck in that thing. I think it comes down to money. I think it comes down to his role. And that's what you want, honestly, from your ballers. You want them to want the football. You want them to want to make the play. So I don't knock DK for feeling that way. I don't know if that's a for sure thing, but I'm close to calling it a for sure thing.
Yeah.
He wants the ball. Receivers want targets. Call us divas. Call us what you want, okay? We want the football. And you know why? Because consistently, other than this past year, we make the bigger plays in a football game. It is easier to get to your back foot, throw it up to the sky, and have your receiver come down to it rather than hand it off to a running back that's not Saquon Barkley, not Derrick Henry, and expect him to break one off. I think it comes down to his role. It comes down to his money and maybe even the location. I don't know DK personally. I don't know his personality like that, but maybe he wants to be in LA. Maybe he wants to be in a bigger market. Who knows? Because you see him on Hulu commercials. You see him on Gatorade commercials. He's got that appeal. Regardless of what you think of him as a player, because I see so much hate on this Dane text line right now. It's crazy, the hate that we're seeing on DK. Granted, I've said this a few times, he's one of 2 receivers to do something that only him and Randy Moss have done in the history of football. Not Jerry Rice, not Chris Carter, not Terrell Owens. Like, let's chill. He has his flaws for sure. But it could be a bunch of things. But me, I would narrow it down to money, to role, and maybe even location.
It's like an Occam's razor thing. The simplest explanation is that DK wants more money than the Seahawks are willing to offer. And the Seahawks are not willing to offer that much money because they want to invest in other parts of their team through their own, kind of things. Like they have deficits in other areas and they want to invest there. And this offense is not going to be one that needs to rely entirely on DK.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if we don't fundamentally need you in order to succeed, and if we need some money to invest in other places, maybe this contract is too rich for our blood. Like, I really do think it could be something as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be that DK doesn't believe in Seattle. Like, I know that any of us would think, well, I'd take less money to play with a contender. But I also don't think Seattle's a contender right now, but I don't think that means you're in purgatory. I don't think it means you're this bad team. It means you're an improving team that needs to take some steps. And maybe trading DK is how you get there.
I think that's a good point. This is what we need. This is going to be your role. It doesn't require us paying you $30 million to get there.
We have a bit more information from Ian Rappaport.
Okay.
He and Tom Pelissero were the 2 reporters who had the DK news this morning. So first, this one.
He had a meeting this morning with Seattle Brass, discussed the trade request. The team has acknowledged it and essentially said, you are allowed to explore it, and they will do some exploring as well.
And on whether there's a chance DK may not be traded.
It's always possible, and if Seattle doesn't get what they want, certainly he could return. But if he's going to return, I would expect it to be with a new contract going into the final year of his deal, wants a new deal. Generally, just speaking generally and historically, when a team and a player say, you know what, you can seek a trade, usually that means the player is getting traded. So we'll see what happens with DK Metcalf, but certainly that is a at least strong possibility.
An obvious recent example is Matthew Stafford, who was given permission to seek a trade, ended up signing a long-term deal with the Rams. The Rams pretending, no, we never plan on moving on. I don't personally believe them.
Not a chance.
No, but a couple people are wondering, hey, is this an effort by DK to get some leverage to get more money? Is this trying to see if, another team might be willing to offer something that for the Seahawks feel worth it?
In this situation, like you look at the Matthew Stafford situation, quarterback has won a Super Bowl, knows the offense, and doesn't have the personality that a DK Metcalf has. I can see him I saw him going back to the Rams. With DK, I don't see this going down. I don't know DK personally. All I have is the same thing you guys have. I've never interviewed him one-on-one. Haven't done it, don't have a real good vibe for who he is as a person. But from what I can see and observe is that you can't bring him back after this. You can't bring him back because then what are you going to do? He's getting $24 million a year, going to bump it up like $1 or $2 million for a couple more years. He's looking for security. At this point, he is 27 years of age. This is when guys start planning for the future. They see the horizon and saying, I'm not close, but I'm heading in that direction. Who knows how much time I have? And you don't want to disrespect him and give him something that's well below what he's asking for. Mm-hmm. Force him to come back here. The vibes are all jacked up. Team chemistry is important. That locker room is huge. I was on a 4-12 team, And you know what? That locker room, you wouldn't be able to tell we were 4-12. At least we were close. You know what I mean? It made going to work a lot easier than it would being on a 4-12 team that's always fighting with each other and stuff. Maybe that was our problem. We probably should fight each other.
Yeah, maybe you guys should have been more mad
Yeah.
instead of being like, so hanging out later? Or?
I mean, we were. It was an interesting bunch, but I feel like just with him requesting that trade, because I don't think with the Matthew Stafford deal, he didn't request a trade. They just couldn't really figure something out.
They were like, then see what
it's
you
like,
can
well,
get.
you know what? Well, let's take a break for a week, and you go out into the dating pool and download Tinder and see what happens. With DK, it's different. I feel like they couldn't reach a number that they agreed with. Now he goes, I want out of here. I want to go out there and see what's out there. That's different. So the context and the relationship and what was said and how it was said, I think it matters, and then the personality matters as well. Matthew Stafford just seems a bit more low-key, didn't request a trade. DK, bigger personality.
Yeah.
He requested a trade.
Last cut from Ian Rappaport talking about the wide receiver market. I think this one's interesting, especially for Seattle, obviously.
It is not a great free agent class at the receiver position. It is not a great receiver class in the draft. Players like DK Metcalf, I would say similar to Deebo Samuel, when they become available and there's just not a lot of other players where teams can improve upon their roster with, these guys become coveted. I expect there to be significant interest in DK Metcalf. We'll see if Seattle gets enough interest to do a trade. This is really one of the best receivers in the NFL. The fact that he's become available, I can assure you, teams have noticed.
Okay, so Bump, here's the double-edged sword with this news, and you can guess where it's going. Great offseason to trade a top wide receiver and get more in return than you normally would.
Yep.
Bad offseason to try to replace that guy.
Exactly.
Because now you're in the same place all those other teams were trying to find wide receiver talent, and there's a dearth, or there's, not a lot of it.
If this were 4 years ago, and I told you these names were free agents, we'd be excited. Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks. We'd be like, yup. Let's figure out a trade, and let's sign one of these elite football players. Like everything else, it is all about timing, and I guarantee you that factored into the decision as well. DK realizes, I'm the hottest thing on the block right now. Devontae Adams is there. He's probably going to want too much money. He's 32 years of age. Stephon Diggs is coming off a knee injury. Keenan Allen is 32, route runner, not really explosive, not going to get you open. Amari Cooper slowed down a little bit. I'm 27 years old. I've avoided major injury. I did have a meniscus deal this year, but I've avoided major injury. And if you're not going to pay me what I want, guarantee you someone else is. So like you just described, it's an advantage for DK, a disadvantage for the Seattle Seahawks.
Nate Tice is going to join us later. We'll ask him about obviously some wide receivers that are going to be available in the draft. A lot of people talking about Matthew Golden. He could go in the first round. If the Chargers end up keeping their first-round pick, I see no reason why they wouldn't take him at 22. But obviously some talent there to talk about that we maybe were not focusing on as much a couple weeks ago when we thought maybe only Tyler Lockett would be gone. Okay, that is enough about DK Metcalf, at least for right now. Again, back to the NFL at noon with Nate Tice. We're going to take a look around the NFL at 12:30, talk some offensive line additions coming up at 12:45. Before we get to that, though, a former Mariner had some jaw-dropping things to say about the team's direction. That is coming your way next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
Mike McDonald does not mess around. Not at all. And if you don't fit, you don't stick. A couple of linebackers, an offensive coordinator, safeties, corners, linemen who lost jobs. He wants it done his way. And I like that.
I think ultimately this just feels like, hey man, Mike McDonald's got this kind of conviction. And I don't suffer fools. And if you're not going to buy in or you don't have the tools that work with what I want to do, we're going to move on.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
You've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Since 1926, my family's been helping local businesses make great first, second, and long-term impressions. We know how to make your company look good with quality uniforms, logoed apparel, floor mats, linens, and more. If you're paying for linen service or doing it yourself, let's have the conversation. The information and quote are free, but the savings and service can really add up. Visit suplinen.com. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out. so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, $149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. $149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
The noon hour of the Bump and Stacy Show is powered every day by the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Go to PendergastLaw.com.
It's the World Fighting Championships at Emerald Queen Casino Event Center. Saturday night, May 10th. Experience the thrill of live MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Don't miss this exciting mixed martial arts event. The World Fighting Championships, May 10th at Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. 21 and older, need gambling help? Call 800-547-6133 or visit emeraldqueen.com.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here. Let's talk stats. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the state of Washington ranks number 4 in the whole U.S. for the highest concentration of roofers. That's literally thousands of roofers to choose from. So how do you know how to pick the right one for your home? Well, you start by eliminating those who aren't GAF Master Elite certified. That's about 97% of all roofers. So now you're down to the elite 3%. How many have over 35 years of experience? How many utilize the catch-all system to keep yards and driveways clear of any debris? Family owned with local roots and have the stamp of approval from the Mike Salk household? Well, that leaves you with just one, the roofing company you can trust. That's Riverside Roofing. In a sea of thousands of competitors, Riverside Roofing continues to stand out. And guess what? They have openings this winter for your roof project. So have them out to your house this week. Call them at 425-949-8252 or go to riversideroofingllc.com. They are the roofing company you can trust.
Mariners single game tickets are on sale now. The squad will be back in action before you know it. And now's the time to lock in your seats for the biggest games this season. Don't miss opening day on March 27th, Ichiro Hall of Fame weekend, August 8th through 10th, and matchups versus the Dodgers, Yankees, and more. Plus, check out 30 value games with tickets starting at just $10. Go to Mariners.com to get your tickets today.
A deep blast. This is gone. Home run. Julio.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Pause on NFL and DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett talk for just a minute here because a former Mariner went scorched earth on the team's direction. This was an interview with Bob Nightingale, USA Today. Justin Turner, a ton of quotes here. I'm just going to read them. They are pretty damning. He does give the Mariners credit in some areas. You know, it's not like I hate the team. Like he says, like he had a good time, but he's just
He had a good time.
He had a good time, but he's very confused by their lack of offseason additions. So Turner on the Mariners offseason inactivity, he said, honestly, as much as I wanted to be back there, if I was the only piece they brought in, I'd be saying the same thing. What the heck are we doing? Are you trying? There's not going to be a better time to go for it. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm very confused. It's a head scratcher for me.
Yeah.
Fair. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
We're with you, JT.
Turner mostly is confused because he thinks this is the best pitching staff, 5-man pitching staff he's ever seen. He says he was frustrated, Bob writes, all winter just thinking about how they squandered their spectacular pitching staff, knowing that if they just got into the playoffs, they could have been the last team standing. I told them several times this offseason, you have a unicorn of a pitching staff, Turner said. This might be the best 5 starting pitchers in the history of the game. I mean, find me a better 5-man. He added, there's never going to be a better time in the history of that franchise to have added a couple bats to make a run this year. And they missed it. I thought Pete Alonso, was a slam dunk. How can you not go after him? You kidding me?
I mean. You got a guy who's won a World Series, who's looking at the talent you have in this rotation and scratching his head. I think that if Teoscar's first language was English, he would have said a lot more about the Mariners as well. So now you have Teo who leaves, wins himself a World Series, has a great year. And now you have JT, a veteran, a leader out there who is great at observing. When you're in the game 15-plus years away, JT has been. You know what winning looks like. You know what losing looks like. You know what potential looks like. And you got 2 guys who you respected here, and they have these strong opinions. It makes the Mariners fans seem like they know a little bit of what they're talking about. It makes everyone here at this radio station sound like we know a little bit of what we're talking about. But it also makes you ask the question, what are they allowing Jerry to do and not to do? Because that has been something that we pointed to as well. We get on Jerry a lot. We get on him. We get on Hollander. We get on ownership. But when it comes down to it, you can only spend what you're able to spend. And if he's not getting the green light to go out there and spend that money, what is he going to do?
And Justin talked about exactly that. He said, I think Jerry catches a bad rep for a lot of these trades and how crazy some of these trades have been. But now being part of it, I kind of understand. He doesn't have any money to spend, so he's got to create money. Like, okay, is it really Jerry's fault? He's doing everything he can to create a budget to be able to do things. It's like when he traded Graveman to Houston for Toro. You're thinking, what in the world? He probably needed to trade guys just to be able to spend money in the offseason, which is nuts. Bump. Things like exit interviews matter because you want honest feedback about what you could do better as a company. Like if you had an employee that you really, really respected and liked, and that employee left and then left you some constructive criticism, I'm sure that criticism would matter to you.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
wouldn't just be like, oh, I don't care. Both Teo and Justin Turner are respected around baseball. These are guys that presumably were, trusted veterans, smart dudes within your club. Like, these things matter. It's not just someone trash talking, kicking you on their way out the door. This is someone saying something you should pay attention to.
No, it's not like he's saying it with an aggressive tone or being disrespectful. He's giving honest observations and asking honest questions. And if you are Jerry DiPoto and you are given the task of sitting in front of the podium and answering all these questions and trying to paint a picture, that's why you get an extension, because the people upstairs are like, we know what position we put you in, Jerry. Like, we know. All right, we got to make a move. We're going to get rid of Service, bring Dan in, bring Edgar in. We're going to extend you. Like, we know what position that we're putting you in. Yet they keep putting him in that position. They keep putting this team in that position. And when you have 2 respected veterans who have had success in this league, and they are essentially saying the same things, the experts we talk to are saying the same things. Everyone in the station is saying the same thing. Why aren't you willing to change? Why aren't you willing to step outside of your box, that box that you're so comfortable in because you're profitable at the ballpark, because you know that Mariner fans are still going to show up? You have honest and real feedback from players who have been in your organizations, who have had success before they got there, and who have success when they leave here. You got to take it into account. But at this point, Stacy, I just throw my hands up and say, all right, whatever. I mean, it's not going to change anything. You know what's going to happen? We're going to talk about this for 3 days, 2 days, and then it's like it never happened. And they're going to say, you know what? World Series this year, guys, got the best rotation in the game.
I still get fired up about it every single time. And I think that there are, a minority of people who complain about the Mariners say this, but they'll say, well, the Mariners are a mid-market team. Like, people always complain about them not spending, but they don't have more money to spend. I don't know what the Mariners' pockets look like. I don't know how deep those pockets are. I don't know what John Stanton, who's a chairman, obviously, of the group, I don't know what their wallets look like. I don't know what kind of money they're working with. I think that the criticism is coming rightly from people who say, given your market size, and you're the 12th or 13th biggest media market, forget like cities, media market, you're just outside the top 10. For your media market size, it would make sense to have a slightly higher payroll. But outside of that, by virtue of your size, you're a team that might only have a tiny window for a fraction of a time. You can't build a sustained World Series team here. You can't. You can't compete with the Dodgers. You're not going to compete with the Mets payroll. You're not going to compete with the Yankees payroll. You simply cannot. So when you have an opportunity, go all in, even if it is really uncomfortable, because that's your only one. That's your only shot. And I think that criticism's very fair, because you are asking them to probably spend more than they're comfortable with by a lot. But you're saying, if you don't do it now, when are you ever going to get a chance to do it?
Yeah. You're in a window, and it's not even a championship window. It's like a elevation window. You have a chance to elevate. The 253 says, it's Jerry's job to make sure ownership knows they have a legitimate chance to win a World Series with this rotation. Okay. We don't know if he is doing that or not, but if he is failing, we don't know if he's doing that or not. There's no way, with all the chatter that is going on around this rotation, that ownership does not know and feel how special this group is. If ownership is looking at this group, if ownership is not hearing Jerry out, if ownership is not reading and listening to what's going on, because everyone's talking about this rotation, they should not be the owners. Like, it's not if 1,000 people are saying the same things, there has to be some truth to it. So I understand this texter sticking up for Jerry and saying, or owners, maybe Jerry's not conveying. You got to be kidding me. You mean Jerry is not going there? Look at the numbers. Look at the data. Look at the age. We have control. Everyone's talking about this. What do you mean? We have the best, most quality starts. You think he's not going in there with all these numbers and telling them, hey, man, we got something special here? Man, look, Jerry has to own some of it because he's the voice of this whole thing. Justin got to own some of it because he's the voice of some of this thing. Ownership, open your dang pockets, man. We got Teo, now JT talking about how special this group is. Yeah, you're giving my man 50 cents and telling him to buy a piece of candy for $1. It ain't going to work.
Yahoo Sports' Nate Tice joins us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree. Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Over the past decade, Washington state politicians have doubled state spending with no improvements to the issues we care about. Instead, we now have the third highest cost of living in the nation and a $12 billion deficit. It's time to tell legislators we need better results, not bigger taxes. Act now at affordablewashington.org. Paid for by people for an affordable Washington and Olympia, Washington. Top 5 donors are Washington Alliance for Competitive Economy, Microsoft, Madrona, T-Mobile, and Alaska Air.
Between his hobbies and decades of work in a boatyard, Philip had put his body through a lot.
I'm an avid fly fisherman and an avid skier. It takes its toll.
Not to mention one other thing.
I had a near-fatal motorcycle accident. Absolutely obliterated my lower left leg again.
Philip couldn't live with the pain anymore. So he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
Listening to all these radio spots, I said, what do I got to lose?
What was your experience like with Dr. Wagner?
What I was so impressed with Mark about is that how often you have a surgery like this, and the guy calls you the next day to see how you're doing. I can't say enough good things about the guy, honestly.
And how are you feeling now?
I have no pain, none. Zero.
Wow. So would you recommend stem cell therapy to others?
I'm a fan, believe me. I'd recommend it to anybody.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Well, this is pretty fun for me. Normally, Shannon O'Kelly and I are talking physical therapy, but today we are talking First Mark Insurance. You made the call to First Mark. You took the challenge. Why?
Brock, I was looking for a local agency that I could align with similar values, and they've helped us here at IRG. They shop different plans. They find the best plan for you, the best price, the best coverage, great customer service, and great connectivity.
Did they save you any money along the way?
Absolutely, they saved us money. Obviously, here at IRG, I have several needs in the insurance industry, and they look at those needs A to Z, and they find out what kind of coverage you need, what is the best coverage, at what cost, and they're always looking to save money. And again, it's all about providing my company, IRG, great customer service.
Well, Shannon and IRG, they took the challenge. Molly and I, we took the challenge. Are you confident that your business is getting the very best when it comes to your insurance needs? If not, take the First Mark Challenge today, and it's totally free. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com, your teammate that goes to work for you. Firstmarkinsurance.com.
You're losing your hair and you want a simple solution that works, and you want the best. Modern technology, top-rated physicians, something that's guaranteed to work. Guys, you need world-class Dr. Parango and his team at Advanced Hair. Advanced Hair has completely redefined hair restoration, from the experience itself to the unmatched results. Receding hairline, bald spot, thinning hair. Get your hair back with Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment that begins regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. Advanced Hair has changed tens of thousands of lives, including mine. And get this, they were recently crowned 425 Business of the Year. For your free consultation, call 425-449-8185, 425-449-8185. If you qualify, get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. 425-449-8185. Refine your hairline with a team that's redefined hair restoration. AdvancedHair.com.
Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. For over 55 years, you've trusted us for roofing, siding, windows, decking, and gutters. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's next tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Saturday, March 8th at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-Little Leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
Getting engaged? At Shane Company, dream engagement rings are our specialty. We have the most beautiful natural and lab-grown diamonds, hand-picked in every price range, ready to compare side by side. Shop online at shaneco.com or in store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans? With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut. Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Breaking news earlier today, Tom Pelissero reporting DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seahawks. This after negotiations that started today broke down. Ian Rappaport later added it's a tough receiver market in free agency and in the draft, making Metcalf an intriguing target for a number of receiver-needy teams around the league. But the Seahawks have suddenly become one of those teams. Also breaking earlier this morning was news of the release of Tyler Lockett. That saved Seattle $17 million against the cap.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. Yahoo Sports' Nate Tice joining us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook hotline right now. Nate, how's it going?
Going well. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. I'm ready to look at free agency, see where the Seahawks need to add. But before I even dive into that, I want to take a look back at one of their moves because I know that you've watched a ton of film and you watch a lot of film every year. I'm wondering what you think of the hiring of Klint Kubiak here in Seattle.
I really like it. It's kind of a fun blend between what Kubiak and the Shanahan offensive tree and what Geno Smith is good at. I actually think it's kind of a fun merger of worlds. Last year, I think anyone that watched the Seahawks knew that, some of the blocking, some of the run game could be inconsistent. This last kind of half of the year when they switched centers and they went to Olo Oluwatimi, that really helped out. And they kind of cleaned some things up when Stone came back at right tackle. But when Lucas came back at right tackle. But no, when really the Kubiak offense, that's what they're known for. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be a very efficient run game. And when you balance that with Geno Smith, who's great dropping back and using straight dropbacks, no play action, none of that, no screens, no kind of window dressing on anything. I think the weaknesses of those two things, the weakness of the Seahawks run game and maybe the weakness of the drop-back passing game in the Kubiak offense, it kind of merges in a good way where they kind of negate those negatives and negate those weaknesses. So I'm pretty excited about it. Excited that I also think the Seahawks, with that run scheme, it helps hide any blemishes. And they got a couple of running backs that I actually think will fit in this type of run scheme. So overall, really like the merger. I really like this addition, and I think it's just going to kind of shore up some of the weaknesses that the Seahawks offense had. And just naturally, I don't think there's much projection needed because Kubiak has done it before.
Yeah, I'm with you, Nate. I love the style of offense that Kubiak is bringing over here. And you kind of hinted toward it. You got to shore some things up with this offensive line. Say nothing were to happen when it comes to acquiring an offensive lineman, maybe a veteran. We know they're going to address it in the draft. The guys you see on this offensive line today, how well do you think they can execute what Kubiak is trying to do?
I think Charles Cross is perfect for it at left tackle. I'm a big fan of Cross. I thought he had a great rookie season. I know he's battled some injuries the last couple of years, and I thought he had some real strong moments last year. But I think his movement ability really is just going to be highlighted in this type of offense. And Oluwatimi at center. I think he kind of fits in everything. He's not a perfect center. He's not a world beater, but he's just solid and kind of gets the job done. I know Tomlinson is moving on, but potentially. The guy they drafted last year, I actually really liked in the third round, Christian Haynes. I actually think a zone-type scheme will help him out because his anchoring has been an issue. Anchoring meaning, stronger players can push him back. And I always thought he was a strong mover. So I thought maybe this type of offense would maybe highlight those strengths too. And really, even at tight end, I think that the couple tight ends that this team has, and maybe if they add one more in the draft, it's a good tight end class. I kind of like where, Fant can be kind of used in decent ways here, but I really like A.J. Barner. And Barner's a good blocker and does a lot of things well that I think this type of offense will really help him out as well because he won't be put in a lot of tough spots, but he can kind of get highlighted too as a blocker on the outside. So that's actually why I'm a little optimistic about this is if you want to run outside zone like the Kubiaks and Shanahan's do, you kind of need tight ends to be able to hold their own. And I think the Seahawks have one already on the roster, which is pretty encouraging.
All of that being said, we are still assuming that the Seahawks add to the interior, whether it's adding to the center battle or either guard spot. Watching the Bears make 2 trades for offensive linemen, Nate, is that reflective of maybe a lack of talent in free agency? Is it better to turn to the draft? Where could they find help on the interior?
I think it's a great day 2 draft for the offensive line. I'm actually more bullish on this offensive line class in the draft than other people are. More because the top end talent might not be there. Like last year, there was 5 tackles that I had as top 20 guys. And I would say this year it's more, there's a lot of late first round, second round types, which I think should be encouraging that the Seahawks can maybe find a decent starter in round 2. There's a few guys in the class. Gray Zabel from North Dakota State, I might like more as a center, but he could play guard as well. Marcus Mbao from Purdue, a really good athlete. He played tackle in college, but I think he's for sure a guard at the next level. Has to have kind of, speaking of Haynes, he kind of has similar skill set as Haynes, but I actually think Mbao's a little bit better. But has to work on some strength, lower body strength, but he's a really easy mover and does a lot of things. I'm pretty bullish on him. And then another guy, a little more power driven, but the thing is he tested really well and he moves really well, is Jonas Sadavania from Arizona, who played tackle and might bump into guard, or I think is for sure a guard at the NFL level. So those are just three guys off the top of my head that I think are going to be well there in the second round, maybe a little bit before the Seahawks pick, but still in that type of range. So that's where I could see an addition that they can find. Free agency class, it's you don't want to be the big spender in this free agency class. Drew Dahlman, I think, is average starter. That's going to be overpaid a little bit, but that's how free agency goes. Ben Bredesen is a under-the-radar guard that could be a solid starter and get him at a decent price. He was with Tampa last year. And then another one is Kevin Zeitler, who's an older guard. I actually played with him at Wisconsin to show you, tell you how old I am. I'm 35. We played together with Russell Wilson at Wisconsin. So, but he's sticking around the league. He could be a nice kind of stopgap starter if you need maybe a one-year answer. But, there's options out there. It's just maybe not the high-end ones, but there are options out there.
So we touched on offensive line and tight end, and now I want to go on the outside. Everyone's trying to figure out if DK is going to be extended or not. There were rumors floating around that there are teams always calling for DK. How important do you think a wide receiver like DK is to this offense? And if they were to move on from them, do you think this draft class has enough talent to where you feel like you can replace him?
It's unique. The X in a Shanahan-Kubiak offense is maybe more of a varied route tree guy than DK is. And DK is a vertical guy, a slant guy. His kind of what he's good at, I wouldn't say it's limited, but he's good at certain things and kind of iffy on some other things. So the fact that he has been rumored to maybe be on the move, I'm not surprised whatsoever. There are options in this draft class. I mean, shoot, the guy that's receiver one would be amazing for anybody. It's Ted McMillan. But another guy is Matthew Golden, receiver from Texas. He's a little smaller. He's in the 190s, so he's not that perfect X. I picture him. He might have too much overlap with Jackson Smith and Jigba, but he has a lot of juice, and his kind of skill set makes a lot of sense to me in this offense. There's other guys, though, in day two. Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. Alec Adamaner, who's from Canada, but he went to Stanford. I keep butchering his name, but that's what I'm going to go with his name. But he's another day two guy that has an X skill set that I actually would kind of like in this type of offense. So there are, again, receivers you can find. The Seahawks found DK Metcalf in round two. There are options for him to replace. But I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is, the one in this offense and the guy that's going to be used a lot. I also just think that, again, bringing up tight ends again, not to kind of tie it all together, but I am, is that I think Kubiak is going to want this to be a two tight end offense. A heavy 11 personnel with three receivers the last year or two, I don't think that's going to be the preferred way that they attack. I think they're going to try and find a second tight end or another tight end to add to this room. And guess what? It's a good tight end class. So they have options there as well. So it's a good thing that maybe these aren't exact like, oh my God, we have to die and find these needs, but it is things that they have to answer. But there are, again, I'm going to use the term, there's options out there for all these types of spots that they can fill.
It's widely expected the Seahawks are going to extend Geno. It feels like we're all just kind of waiting for an announcement on that. That being said, Nate, if you were John Schneider, how would you approach the quarterback room this offseason?
I mean, they could stand pat. I'd be totally fine with it. Sam Howell. He's never going to beat out Geno Smith, but he's interesting in going there. I call him the three true outcomes quarterback, and the fact that every play is either a sack, a scramble, or a deep ball. It's much like a baseball player that either strikes out, takes a walk, or hits a home run. That's kind of how I think he's always going to be, kind of that option. If you want to get frisky and maybe find someone to move on from or to work with and maybe bridge it, that there's some interesting options there. The thing is, in this class, this is not a good quarterback class. Cam Ward is QB1, and then after that, if you said any name is QB2, I go, yeah, sure. That's kind of how I feel. I feel like Cam Ward's the only guy I'm comfortable taking round one. But why I wanted to bring that up is some guys are going to get boosted up on day two, likely, maybe even to end of round one, that typically should only go round three, maybe even round four. But quarterbacks are quarterbacks. So I think they're fine standing pat. They don't need to add a vet because Gino's the vet. But if they want to go with youth, there's some interesting day three dart throws. They can maybe try and strike lightning, maybe get someone interesting. The guy I'm bullish on is Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. Really good athlete, good size. His arm I actually think has been underrated a little bit, but still more just above average than maybe good. But that's a guy that maybe is a round three, round four guy if they wanted to go down that path and try and find someone that they could build with the next couple of years. That's one option, I think.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Gino is the lowest paid veteran quarterback, a guy not on a rookie contract.
Best deal in sports.
Best deal in sports, yeah. Heck of a deal. Tell the people here in Seattle that. But eventually he's going to get paid. And I'm trying every day we talk about Gino here because, he's our quarterback. What do you think is the best thing about Gino, and what do you think is the worst thing about Gino? I'm trying to get an outside perspective because the people here in Seattle have heard me and Stacy talk about this endlessly.
The best thing about Gino is also the worst thing about him. There's not a throw he doesn't like. There's not a throw he doesn't think he can make. And guess what? He can accomplish those throws. He's the type of quarterback you want in your backfield if you have a good team because he can push you over the top. Gino had a lot on his plate last year, absurd amount, really, how heavy they were passing, how much they were in the shotgun. And I think that was just the maximum of what he could handle. Do I think he's a top 5, top 6 guy? No. But he is somewhere in that tier in the middle that you can win with and you can win in the playoffs with and go on a run because Gino can get hot. But Gino has as much high-end throw ability as any quarterback in the league. And I can easily say that and safely say that. Does he try it a little too much? Does he try to make something happen a little too much? Yeah, he does. But I also think that's a quantity thing where maybe it kind of feels like, oh, my God, Gino cost us again. But it's like, guess what? That's all you guys got. That's how it felt when I was watching a lot of the Seahawks. They put a lot on him. Sometimes that was good, and sometimes you can see why he's not a top 5, top 6 guy. But Gino is I'll just come back. Gino is what you want back there. He can create. He can push the ball. He is tough as all get out, which is also infectious when you watch him. He can navigate tough pockets in a good way. That's why I'm optimistic that if they just even have an average offensive line with this type of offensive scheme, that he could really flourish. So that's why, even as an outsider, I can get some of the frustrations because he'll throw a bad interception, but all the good that he brings, compensates, overcomes any of those negative plays, those blemishes that he does have. So, like I said, is he top 5, top 6? No. But is he top 15? Yeah. Top 16? Yeah. Like, you can win with this guy and win a championship with this guy. And it's funny because the NFC West kind of has a couple of these guys, like him and Stafford. They're kind of that same tier, that their high-end play is really high, even if it's down to down, maybe doesn't always get there. So, no, Gino is a great answer to have a quarterback, especially with the current quarterback landscape, because guess what? You do not want to be on the streets trying to find a quarterback right now. With this class and this free agency, you do not want to be out there. You think you want to be out there, you do not want to be out there. And that's why I think Gino is a great option and a good quarterback. He does a lot well.
Last one for me, Nate. We're all expecting the Seahawks at 18 to take an offensive line, mostly because it's mostly the one being mocked. However, I have heard, as have you, amazing things about defensive linemen in this class. Is there a chance that going defense at 18 for Seattle is the better value pick? Maybe you get a guy that would have gone higher in another year?
Yeah, and it's a loaded defensive line class, so absolutely. Like a guy like Derek Harmon from Oregon, like that's a guy that would be in range for the Seahawks there, so absolutely. And I believe they moved on from Draymond Jones too, and Jerron Reed is a free agent, and Jonathan Hankins is a free agent. So Byron Murphy is a good player. He's kind of a gap shooting guy. If you got a guy like Kenneth Grant from Michigan, Derek Harmon's the guy I just brought up from Oregon. Those two guys are definitely interesting names that they could look at, in the first round. The other position outside of guard, which again, there might be some guys there in the first round, Tyler Booker from Alabama, I don't really think is a good fit for Kubiak offense, but Kelvin Banks from Texas, Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. I mentioned those guys on day 2 earlier. Josh Carnley from Oregon. I actually was looking, again, to bring it back to the tight ends. My last mock draft, I've given Seahawks Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State, and then the one before that, Colson Loveland, tight end from Michigan, because I just think for pass catcher wise and what this offense wants to be, those guys are real needle movers, and then they can move on with Noah Fant down the road. But that can really build up that room and be a really interesting room and be that other pass catcher and blocker and also play all those snaps. So other than defensive line and guard, like tight end is one that I've been like sneaky kind of looking at for the Seahawks.
Good stuff. Yahoo Sports' Nate Tice, kind enough to join us on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Nate, thanks so much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get to headline rewrites.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, biggest story of the day. Per multiple reports, DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seahawks. What's the real headline?
Feels like a move to LA could be in store, but not to the Rams.
We call them the San Diego Chargers where I'm from.
I still call it a Von Macy's.
No, it makes sense. And the reason why, we saw a report from who?
Bob who reminded
Condotta,
us about
saying Sanjay Lau is the wideouts coach over there, and him and DK were vibing on the same page. Sanjay, one of the best teachers of route runner and this the receiver position in the game. You and I pointed out too before we heard this news that the Chargers look like a good spot. You got Justin Herbert over there, a talented arm, Lad McConkey, a great underneath receiver. It makes sense. DK gives me LA type of vibes too. Why wouldn't you want to be in LA? He'll be super marketable. You're playing indoors, controlled environment. It will be a road game every single game, but you know what? You will be in the sunshine. So that makes sense, man, because of the relationship.
And also McDonald was Jim Harbaugh's defensive coordinator for a year at Michigan. So there's also that relationship too.
In terms of trade return, the Chargers' first two picks of the draft, I believe, are number 22 in the first round and 55 in round 2. DK does not have a no-trade clause, so there's also a world where Seattle ships him to Tennessee, which has a higher second-round pick, or to New England, which has a higher second-round pick as well. Bump, you looked at their cap space, and they have the room for that.
Yeah, New England got a lot of money. They got money. They rich. And then Tennessee, I like that because they should draft Cam Ward, and then you give him a number 1 receiver off top. Interesting day. We started off the day singing, just soft, slow songs about Tyler Lockett, and then it picked up real quick with DK Metcalf. I want to also point out something. Some people are like, how dare DK make this public today? He didn't control when the meeting was going down, and then it got leaked. I don't think DK was being malicious about this at all. It's just the timing is impeccable.
Yeah, DK and Tyler are tight.
Yeah.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, the Seahawks are releasing Tyler Lockett after 10 years with the organization. What's the real headline?
Speaking of, something we had fun talking about for 15 minutes. Tyler Lockett finishes as the second receiver behind Steve Largent in a number of categories.
In the world, Craig.
In the world.
Second when it comes to receiving yards, Largent has about 13,000. Lockett has about 8,000. Second when it comes to receptions. Second when it comes to receiving yards. He's the second greatest to do it over here in Seattle, man. And it's been a fun ride. I've enjoyed getting to know Tyler Lockett a little bit over the past, 6-7 seasons. The toe tap in the corner, the big games against AZ, 200 yards, big game against Dallas, 3 touchdowns, big game against Tampa Bay, 152, has 3 returns for touchdowns. I mean, he's just been a solid and consistent player. We knew this was going to happen. It's just a matter of when, and today was the day. Yesterday, I thought it was going to happen after all those released, but I like the way the Seahawks attempted to do it, to give him his day. Just so happens DK requested a trade at the same time.
It's the end of, and you pointed this out, a really weird era where you were like, in your mind, Tyler Lockett was part of that same Super Bowl run of Seahawks.
Yeah, in my mind, he won a Super Bowl.
In my mind, but obviously his first year in 2015, but still it felt like part of that group, a core part of that group for so many years, and is also kind of the final one that you're saying goodbye to. You now have full turnover on the roster.
Yeah, now JSN is sitting there like Will Smith on The Fresh Prince. Last
Where'd
episode.
everyone go?
Where everybody go? They'll find you some help.
Headline Rewrites.
Headline number 3, this news coming down just a few moments ago. The Kraken are trading Yanni Gordon, Oliver Bjorkstrand to the Tampa Bay Lightning for first-round picks in 26 and 27 and a second-rounder in the 2025 draft. And center Michael Esimont. What's the real headline?
Curtis, you want to take this one?
Nice of Ron Francis to acquire assets for his successor.
It's so cold. It's cold-blooded.
Yanni was my favorite player, man. The heck's going on? I mean, you got to do something, right? The Kraken, second, near the bottom in their conference, near the bottom in their division, not scoring golazos, not blocking golazos. Hey, but they did bring up our guy Grubauer last night for his bobblehead night,
and they didn't win.
But my relationship with the Kraken is weird because they started off so great. The hype was there. We had a close friend of the show pass away during this whole deal. Andy, and I don't know what to think about the Kraken right now, man. They got a lot of work to do. Curtis, that is a bold and fiery headline rewrite.
Curtis, a question for you. Do you actually think Ron Francis is on his way out, or do you think that they'll be pretty stubborn? Because we've seen with a lot of Seattle teams a stubbornness to move on from almost anyone.
Yeah, but and the NHL's got a pretty quick trigger on these things. I mean, they only gave Dave Haxtell 3 seasons, and he made the playoffs in one of those 3 seasons. I just feel like the trajectory of the franchise right now, heading in end of year 4, going into year 5, should probably be in a much better spot than where they're at.
Yeah.
And I mean, Ron Francis has not shown an ability to be aggressive in acquiring talent. He's never made that big move to go acquire a star player. It just feels like he's kind of okay with doing the long build, and I don't think people in Seattle right now have much patience there.
How do you acquire a star player with what Seattle has? Genuine question. I don't
assets,
pay close attention to their assets.
Well, I mean, picking up 2 extra first-rounders and an extra second-rounder, that's a nice little treasure chest.
Package all of it together.
Plus, you've got your own draft picks as well that are usually in the top 10.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like you're dealing with an empty cupboard here. You've got valuable pieces that other teams might want to consider.
Okay, we have so many stories that we've kept having to push back today. The Bears are doing something the Seahawks should consider. That's coming up at 12:45. At 1 p.m., ESPN's Mina is going to join us to obviously talk about the departure of Tyler Lockett and the potential/probable departure of DK Metcalf. ESPN's Brady Henderson is joining us at 1:30. A great spot for those questions about DK's contract, cap implications, what the return might be in a trade. Brady's going to obviously, I'm sure, spend the next hour researching all of this for his own work for ESPN. So a really informative interview there coming up at 1:30. And again, get your questions in for What I Need to Know. That's coming your way to wrap up the show at 1:45. 866-979-3776. Coming up next, taking a small break from the Seahawks to take a look around the rest of the NFL.
The John Schneider Show.
With Wyman and Bob.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
You're down at the Combine. What's the biggest priority that you want to know about these players?
Yeah, I would say having our coaches here this year, interviewing the players in person and watching them interact, how they respond to the teaching, and can they teach the coaches. That's probably the most important thing this year. We didn't bring the guys last year because everybody was just installing our systems and getting going. So it's pretty cool having those guys here this year.
Hear the rest of this interview on demand at seattlesports.com and on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity.
So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. Through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for 1 year and save over $1,000 in your first year versus other major carriers. Plus, ask how to get iPhone 16e on us. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment tax and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus one unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Actual savings vary.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers. T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
That spice is 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Hi, my name is Khadijah, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick of the chicken. It's just the right amount of heat, and it gets me excited. And then, pro tip, add that cilantro lime sauce. It cools it down. If the sandwich is at 100, the cilantro lime takes it to 200. It makes me want to, tell all my friends and family.
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Do you need a new roof? Don't wait for summer to replace it. 3 Tree Roofing is here to help you save big this winter. Avoid summer's higher prices and longer wait times and protect your home's integrity now. Visit 3treeroofing.com for your free on-site estimate. Our certified installers make it easy and worry-free, no matter the season. Don't wait. Book your estimate today at 3treeroofing.com. Mention this ad and get $500 off your roof replacement. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
You think your home is pretty cool until that summer heat hits, and suddenly your home isn't that cool. In fact, it's hot. Air conditioning from Washington Energy Services can help. Stay cool this summer with our biggest spring savings event ever. This month only, take up to $4,000 off an energy-efficient Bryant cooling system with exclusive Washington Energy rebates. Ensure your home is always the cool house with air conditioning from Washington Energy Services. Contact us today for a free estimate.
Hey guys, did you know that half of men over age 50 have erectile dysfunction on some level? Whether you have mild, moderate, or severe ED, West Coast Men's Health can help. We don't prescribe pills and hope they work. Instead, we treat the root cause of the problem with acoustic wave therapy, which breaks down plaque, unclogs arteries, and restores blood flow. We have treated thousands of men across our 11 locations nationwide and have established ourselves as a leader in the industry. So whether you have ED, Peyronie's disease, or suffer from chronic pain, such as neuropathy, carpal tunnel, or Dupuytren's contracture, West Coast Men's Health can help. No pills, no shots, no surgery, just results.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call West Coast Men's Health at
206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Taking a look around the NFL, let's step outside of Seattle, and we are going to go to Vegas. The Raiders and Max Crosby have reached an agreement on a 3-year extension worth up to $106.5 million with $91.5 in guarantees. Get yours, Max Crosby.
Why didn't the Lord make me 6'4", 260 pounds?
Defensive end.
Goodness gracious. Good for Max Crosby. Look, Pete Carroll was like, listen, ain't much here, but I need Max. Y'all better make sure Max is taken care of. You got Brock Bowers over there. You know he's calling about Tyler, maybe even DK. But you got to lock down your biggest assets. And Max said himself he wants to be a Raider for life. And that is loyalty, because the Raiders have done absolutely nothing to make him think that they're going to be contenders in the near future. But when you offer a man $106 million over 3 years and $91 million guaranteed, he's probably going to sign.
Feels like it all comes down, obviously, I feel stupid even saying this, to who's your starting quarterback when it comes to the Raiders, because they don't have a lot of pieces, as you mentioned, but they do have some intriguing ones. There's Crosby, obviously Brock Bowers coming off an all-pro season as a rookie. And you've got a new head coach that's great at building a foundation. You're not drafting high enough to, I mean, maybe if Shedeur falls.
He might fall.
I don't know that the Raiders would pass on him. They don't have anyone.
They hating on him, man. They hating on Shedeur.
Do you think he falls?
He might fall, man. I'm going to switch one of my 4 downs and address that a bit more about Shedeur. It's crazy.
Okay, we'll do that at 1:15. Next up, the Cowboys creating some more cap room. They've restructured Dak Prescott's contract to free up $36.6 million in cap space. They freed up $56.6 million, nearly $60 million in the last 2 days after restructuring CeeDee Lamb's deal. Do you think this is to get something done with Micah Parsons? Maybe add, some running back help? Or, as was hypothesized from some fans, could they make a move for DK Metcalf?
Man, they better do something about that defense. That's where it starts. You got to get CeeDee Lamb a partner. You got to get somebody over there. That's why people are mentioning DK Metcalf. I get that. I understand that. But it's all about playing defense in Dallas. And Dallas doesn't play very good defense. They're, 27th or 28th overall when it comes to yards given up. You can't outscore everybody every game. So good for Dak Prescott for allowing the restructure to happen, realizing that he can't block for himself, he can't throw it to himself, and he can't run the football himself. So you need more bodies over there, and that's what they should get out of this. But I think that the Micah Parsons thing is going to be just hanging around for a while. You got to figure out what to do there.
Yeah. The Rams have made a trade, the 49ers have made a trade, and may make more. Plus, the Seahawks obviously will likely trade DK Metcalf. Adam Schefter gave the Pat McAfee Show plenty of updates on where the 49ers stand heading into the offseason. First, taking trade offers on anyone, including Brandon Ayuk.
The 49ers, in their particular financial situation, are open to listening on just about anybody. And so if there's a team out there that is willing to take on the Brandon Ayuk contract with him coming off the torn ACL, I'm sure they would listen, absolutely. But again, you've got to find a team that's willing to take on the player with the injury, with the contract. That's not a simple thing to do.
Much like the Seahawks, much like the Cowboys before these restructured deals, they need money, and they don't have it right now. This I thought was really interesting, Bump. Schefter says that rather than a long-term extension for Purdy, he could see the team franchise tagging him.
And Brock Purdy obviously is going to want to get a deal done, and the Niners would want to get a deal done. But the issue is he's scheduled to make $5.1 million this season. He then could be tagged after next season for $41 million. He could be tagged the season after that for $51 million. So if you don't get a deal done with Brock Purdy and you're the Niners, and again, this would not be what Brock Purdy would want, I would imagine. Certainly not what his agent would want. He would play for $5 million this year, $41 next year, $51 the year after. You're talking about $97+ million over the next 3 years, which for most people will be incredible money, but not for a quarterback who's waiting to get paid.
Heck no. Okay, so 2 stories there. Your reaction?
My reaction is poor Brock Purdy. If he doesn't get extended, he might make $91 million over the next 3 seasons.
Suffering.
Poor guy. The next one is, so I'm in a group chat with some family members who are really into football. And they sent this tweet out.
Okay.
It said, Niners are really about to pay Brock Purdy $50 million a year, and they lost Debo. Ayuk once out. Christian McCaffrey's 29 playing on one leg. George Kittle's 31 on his last year of his deal. Trent is 36 years old. Ward, Greenlaw, and Hargrave are all free agents. They better make something happen fairly quickly over there.
It feels now, I don't know what's going on with Arizona. They are every single season a wild card for me, and I never know what to expect, and I think their fans are always disappointed no matter what. I guess I look at the Rams and go, keep pace with them, beat them again. We know slow starts haven't stopped them. Like, you can never count them out.
Nope.
But otherwise, I mean, you're coming off, as you said, a 10-win season.
They've had
some draft capital to work with here.
5 years of just being in the mix. And this is what happens. That's why when you have an opportunity, you do everything you can to keep the band together, but it looks like they're breaking up. And then you just paid Ayuk. You just paid him. Now you're trying to get rid of him. I understand why they got to make moves and make room for Brock Purdy, but who's he going to throw the ball to?
Yep. The Jags are releasing wide receiver Christian Kirk, who kind of was a catalyst.
He started this.
For a wave of massive wide receiver deals by being wildly overpaid by the Jags, and clearly they feel that that's the case as well. Would you add Kirk here?
Not for what he's getting paid over there.
Absolutely
not. But no, he's a speed guy, right? I'd look into it. I think you have to look at anyone who's available at this point who has shown a season or two of production, because you know who your number one is going to be. Yeah, I'd take a look at him for sure. But thank you, Christian Kirk. Everyone should be thanking him for the receiver pay.
Next up, the Eagles are, after extending Saquon Barkley, are re-signing first-team All-Pro linebacker Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million deal with $34 million fully guaranteed. Really cool story for Bond this season.
Love it. My man was a special team specialist with the Saints, I believe. Now he gets to start over there with Philly, does his thing, All-Pro. Philly might be the standard when it comes to franchises.
Mm-hmm.
They build great teams. They're paying Saquon Barkley, the highest paid running back of all time at this point. Bond, who the Saints gave up on, he's a starter. He's getting paid. Goodness gracious, Philly is where it's at.
I love comeback stories. I love players that make their money. And maybe Bond never has a season quite like he did this year, but the Eagles are betting that he will.
Yeah.
And good for them. You know, they have smart football people that are going, we really love what we're seeing. But consider that he was making but relative, $3.5 million on a 1-year deal, try it out deal before this. And I can't do the math on this, drastically increased your yearly salary, plus you get $34 million.
This is what happens when you win a Super Bowl. Two things happen. Guys leave and look for better contracts, or you pay them to keep them there. They still got to sign Becton, their offensive lineman that they picked up.
Yeah.
But even if they don't, if they bring back 4 out of the 5 that they got over there, they should be fine.
He's got an incredible nickname, too.
What is it?
He's the Bald Eagle.
That's a great nickname.
That's awesome name.
Man, they've got what do they call Cooper and what's his name?
Cooper DeJean
and
Reed Blankenship.
Reed Blankenship. Do they call them the Exciting Whites?
Exciting Whites.
I think so.
Exciting Whites, Bald Eagle. Like, the Eagles are just having a blast, man.
Great time.
NBC Sports' Matthew Berry shared a wild trade rumor he heard at the NFL Combine about the Patriots and A.J. Brown. He said, to that point about a shallow wide receiver market, I've heard the Pats will do whatever they can to get a real wide receiver one for Drake May and the new coaching staff. I heard they're knocking on all doors, seeing what they can possibly trade for, and one person told me they heard the Patriots called Philly asking if A.J. Brown was available. Shrug emoji on if that's true or what Philly's answer was, but this much seems certain. New England will aggressively try to upgrade its wide receiver room this offseason.
Don't
Feels
trip.
timely,
Don't
Bump.
trip. You ain't got to go to the other side of the Ole Miss connection. All right, yeah, AJ on one side. DK's available. They got a lot of money. Guarantee you they've already hit him up on his two-way pager.
I feel like there's no way you're getting pick number 4, right?
Nah.
Okay.
For DK?
No. But they have a high second rounder. Do you think you could get that for
Maybe.
DK?
Maybe you can.
If they're
How
desperate.
You got Drake May over there. He has no one to throw to but your guy Polk from the University of Washington. But he ain't DK.
If they were calling the Eagles about a player that I would never assume is ready to be traded,
Man,
that's
shooting.
desperate.
They shooting. They shot.
Shooting their shot. And
the baddest chick in the bar. You know dang well you don't have the finances for that. And they shooting.
so if they were willing, I wonder if they were willing to give up a first for AJ. And if they were willing to do that, not that they do it for DK, but I think that second does seem more likely.
Mm-hmm.
If they're desperate to add help.
They're already talking.
Man.
They've already had conversations, guaranteed.
Fascinating stuff. Last one, longtime Bengals defensive end Sam Hubbard's retiring after 9 years in the league.
I got a year and some change out the league. You got 9. You getting what? 3 contracts.
Impressive.
You're pretty good, man. Good for you.
I immediately flashed back to that great play he made against the Ravens in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl? I can't remember.
Oh, no.
But anyways,
take your word for
congratulations
it.
on his retirement. Good for him. Coming up next, the Bears are doing something the Seahawks should consider.
4th down territory. Going inside the game with former Cougs and Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
What part of football has changed, and do you like it?
2-point conversions. Like, we are chasing points. The game has changed. 2-point conversions and 4th downs. So we're seeing coaches dive into the data like a lot of people do with baseball. And I like it, and it is weird at the same time because I'm not used to seeing these 4th down conversions or attempts and these 2-point conversions.
4th down territory. Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
No more football means I'm ready for an escape, and since my weekends are free, I'm looking for something fun, relaxing, and with some entertainment built in. I got just a place for you, Silver Reef Casino and Resort. They got hotels, they got a spa, restaurants, multiple, including the best steakhouse north of Seattle and the brand new The Cantina. They got concerts and events for sure. And hold up, they got golf. So you know what that means when the weather is nice. Your boy is going to be back out on the golf course. It's all systems go at Silver Reef Casino Resort. Don't try to tell me it's too far. You spend more time in traffic getting your kids to games. Hop on I-5 and you are basically there. You can even fill up. They have some of the cheapest gas prices you will see all year. Join Reef Rewards for free and you'll get 10% off at the resort. Don't wait. Visit Silver Reef Casino Resort, silverreefcasino.com to book your stay. There's something for everyone at Silver Reef Casino.
Windows are a home's top target for break-ins. At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we offer added security with our exclusive 3-layer security glass protection. Combined with our lifetime warranty, you'll have lifetime peace of mind. Choose Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust.
You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Superior Linen Service will help your company with logoed apparel, uniforms, floor mats, linen, and more. Give us a call. We answer the phone. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do. Visit suplinen.com.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's next tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Saturday, March 8th at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-Little Leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hey, not to be dramatic, but you should smell this. It smells so good.
Whoa, that's quite the reaction to mixing and matching Gain scents. Let's hear another from Ashley, who mixed Gain products and went,
I'm so excited.
yes, you are. What about you, Isaiah?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And Emily summed it up like so.
It is just chef's kiss.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Mix, match, more happy with Gain.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
4 down territory. Going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
The Gene Simmons Band, live Tuesday, April 8th at Muckleshoot Event Center. He's the God of Thunder. He's going to rock and roll all night and bring you an unforgettable night of head-banging rock and roll. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com. The Gene Simmons Band, only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
I just had Asset Roofing come out and do a full inspection on my roof because I wanted to be proactive and handle any small problems before they became big problems, and they were extremely professional with their communication and recommendations. You really need an expert on your side, and Asset Roofing is on mine. Allow them to work for you, too. You can find out more at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at prosculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's prosculpt.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
No more Tyler Lockett, no more DK Metcalf. I mean, you better improve that offensive line. You want to be a run-first team. You want to reestablish yourself as being able to run the football. You were 28th in rushing yards per game last year. You were a far better passing offense.
Way better.
Than you were a rushing offense.
Cosign.
So, new idea. Should the Seahawks take the Bears' approach to fixing their offensive line? Chicago acquired Joe Thuney from KC for a 4th-round pick in 2026. And then on Tuesday, the day before, they acquired a they traded a 6th-round pick for Jonah Jackson. So they acquired 2 guards over 2 days by trading draft picks as opposed to signing free agents.
They got to do something. I think they don't need 2 guards. I think you grab a guard and then you develop another one. You draft one as well. Should they give up draft picks for it? I think not. I think that you should go to free agency and try to do it that way, which is ironic because that's exactly what they did last year.
It didn't work.
You went to free agency, found Lagan, drafted, just didn't work out for you. But I think that with the draft class that they had with those linemen last year, they got a year under their belt. I'm just anticipating some type of development with the new coaching staff coming over here that's familiar with this offense. There's continuity, right? A lot of these coaches have worked together before. So it's not like Kubiak has to look over his offensive lineman's shoulder every single practice or film session because he's hired guys who understand what he wants and what they're looking for as far as execution. So, no, I think they run it back in a sense as far as their approach last year, even though we spoke to Tice, and Tice said there's not a lot of offensive line talent out there. But I see 1 or 2 guys that they could look at.
He did say he really liked the day 2 interior guys in the draft. He felt like day 2 wide receivers and day 2 interior guys were really, really good. Both things Seattle now needs. I know the Seahawks didn't necessarily decide 100% to trade DK. It feels like this just kind of came as the result of, do we want to pay you? What are you going to ask for? And then completely broke down and the story gets leaked. That being said, this feels like it has to be John Schneider betting on himself. He's talked about wanting to get not wanting to get a running back, but how it's this historically great running back class. He knows he needs to improve the offensive line. It feels like they are putting all their chips on, we're going to run the ball. But watching the tape last year, what kept them from doing it effectively? Because they didn't. They did not do it effectively.
Scheme, experience, execution. And I think the scheme is changing. These young guys did get some experience. And the wide zone, in theory, is just an easier scheme to teach and to execute. When you are running your gap schemes, when you're blocking down and you're pulling guys, it's almost like you're You've been to downtown Seattle? Remember our 20s, just a party downtown Seattle, and there's alleys down there. Imagine just running straight and then having to hit a hard right down an alley.
No thanks.
That's what gap scheme is like. You think you know what's going to be there pre-snap. Okay, I got 55, and you're running straight and you hit the alley, and now you're searching for 55, and if he's not there, you're just hitting whoever is available. And I think that comes with a lot of repetition and this familiarity. It can be done. I mean, gap schemes are all across the league. But when you have such a young offensive line, it's hard to rely on that. And even at times where they were looking good at the gap scheme, that counter was looking great, but you never built off of it. So I think that because you're introducing a wide zone type of scheme, in theory, it's easier to teach and to execute, but at the same time, it has its challenges.
Yeah. You can't only run the ball, though, says the 253. I mean, yes, they are going to need to be balanced. I just think John Schneider's focus is on reestablishing the run, improving the offensive line. And I don't know that the Seahawks were fully set on trading DK.
They wasn't trying to trade that.
No,
man.
I don't know that this was a decision. I think they would love to keep DK for probably less than he wants to get paid. I think that's what they would love.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't only run the ball, but you run the ball first. The very first play, the Kubiak experience, better be a wide zone. It better be 2 tight ends in that thing, a running back in the backfield, wide zone. We all know that it's coming, and you go ahead and get it, but it opens everything up. That's why it hurts to lose DK. I want DK in this offense, and there's a slight chance he might come back. I just don't think you bring a guy back after he requests a trade because the relationship is different. But I do think that it's going to be easier for receivers to get open in this offense because of the way they're going to layer it, the movement of the offensive line that affects the defense, and allowing guys to find space. In this offense, you don't even have to be like the greatest route runner. You don't have to be an Ocho Cinco or one of those twitchy guys. If you understand the flow of a defense and how to find space on that second and third level, you can have success. Am I banking on a rookie wideout coming here and just going for 1,200 and blowing this thing up? Nah. Can it happen? Of course it can. We've seen it. But if we were running back the Ryan Grubb offense, I'd be a lot more skeptical about the possibility of a young man doing that rather than in a Kubiak offense.
That's interesting. In terms of answering the question of, do you want to see them take the Bears' approach to fixing their offensive line? I personally wouldn't mind it because I really want a good veteran here. Every team does, but when you're going really young on your offensive line, Laken Tomlinson brought veteran experience, but wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you might have to trade in order to get that guy in this free agent market. I haven't taken a deep dive. However, this is my question for you. I have not watched as much film.
Mm-hmm.
So my lasting impression of the offensive line is just one of frustration and one of kind of giving up and feeling like, do you need 3 more guys? What's happening here? You have watched a ton more film. And you also started analyzing the offensive line differently with Clint Kubiak coming in, kind of wondering if he has enough pieces. Have you found yourself changing your mind a little bit, thinking maybe they have more there than we thought?
No, I think there is more there that fits the scheme. You look at a Christian Haynes, not a very big individual, but great hands and good feet and plays with some fire behind him. Perfect for the wide zone. You look at Oluwatimi, not the biggest, not small by any measure, but great hands, great feet, perfect for that wide zone look. I think that was part of the decision-making when it came to bringing Kubiak over here, was looking at what he did with the New Orleans Saints, the personnel they had on that offensive line, which I think is comparable to what's over here in Seattle, and seeing that they were able to execute. And for 2 weeks, we thought that was the best offense that we've seen since the Chiefs a few years ago. Injuries happen and things start to affect the way you execute. But I think that there's enough here to where you don't feel like you have to go into the draft 3 offensive linemen, and go get one in free agency. No, I think you get one in the draft that you feel like is going to be the guy, and obviously you might grab another one for depth, and you go get yourself a veteran. And that is a great place to start because I believe in Olu. I believe in our tackles here, and I think one of these young guys are going to develop.
I feel reassured.
Okay.
I feel reassured by that. I don't want to think that this team is as far away as I worried they were. What I need to know coming your way at 45 after. Get your questions in anytime during the next hour, 866-979-3776. Before that, here's what we have in store. At 1:30, ESPN's Brady Henderson is going to join us. He has been talking to a bunch of people behind the scenes, all of his sources, to see what he's hearing about the DK situation, when the conversation started, when a decision to request a trade or deal him came from, what they might get in return. Those are all the questions we'll be asking Brady at 1:30. Before we get to that, ESPN's Mina is going to join us. And while we're going to talk about the DK trade, and while we will talk about Clint Kubiak being here and what the offense could look like in 2025, we have not spent nearly enough time talking about Tyler Lockett. So that is where we're going to start with Mina next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree. Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
For many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning. Your crown is disappearing. Hair loss had me feeling like I was losing my identity altogether. Well, I've got some good news. It's a simple one-day treatment that worked for me. The Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. It starts growing new hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly memberships. Those can help retain what you have. But what if you want your own natural hair in specific areas like I did? You decide how much, how thick, and where. From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to the world-class leading doctors like Dr. Parango, it's not a maybe your hair will grow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 425-449-8185. Advanced Hair is the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and they are the team that I personally recommend. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
We meet by accident, fixing every last dent, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last dent, accurate auto body.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans? With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
This is the story of the one. As a quality technician in a food processing center,
she knows that making the right call is the best way to avoid a recall. That's why she trusts Grainger's world-class supply chain to deliver the high-quality supplies she needs to help keep her production line, her equipment, and her customers happy and healthy. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When it comes to great deals on tax prep, Jackson Hewitt isn't holding back, and neither is this commercial. Their offer is so big, it has to be said with Reverb, expert tax prep for $149 or less. It's a deal so spectacular, it needs a symphony, some explosions, and a clock ticking, because this offer, $149 or less, ends soon. One expert tax prep for $149 or less? Try Jackson Hewitt today and save. Whew. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
Breaking news earlier today, Tom Pelissero reporting DK Metcalf has requested a trade from the Seahawks. This after contract negotiations that started today broke down. Ian Rappaport later added it's a tough receiver market in free agency and in the draft, making Metcalf an intriguing target for a number of receiver-needy teams around the league. The Seahawks have suddenly become one of those teams, though. Also breaking earlier this morning was news of the release of Tyler Lockett. That saved Seattle $17 million against the cap.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. ESPN's Mina joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hey, Mina, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. We appreciate you joining us. It's a hectic news day. And I do want to get to the DK stuff, but we had the Tyler Lockett news for like 10 minutes, and then the DK stuff broke. And I know that you've watched all of Tyler Lockett's career, so I actually wanted to start there. You sent a tweet about how cool it was to have watched both Baldwin and Lockett, and that they were arguably the two most underrated receivers of their respective generations. I think you're absolutely right. What do you think kept them underrated?
Oh, man. I think draft status is where I would start, especially with Baldwin. It can be hard, I think, sometimes to shake perceptions in the NFL of where you're drafted or undrafted, in his case, and it takes people kind of a while to sort of reconcile that with what they're seeing on the field. And I think that played a role in it, for him in particular and some of Tyler's career. There were points where the Seahawks weren't super pass happy, where there were bigger personalities who got more attention, both, I think not your prototypical X-boundary receiver that we think of, when we think of like some true number ones. So I think that also factored into it, although these days the production when you get from the slot, I think, matters just as much. And some of the best receivers in the NFL do a lot of their best work there. But it is a combination of things. And I think both have lower key personalities too, which is sort of out of step, I think, with maybe stereotypes of the wide receiver position. But two of just the best humans around. And yeah, I think Seahawks fans should just feel really lucky to have watched both of them over the course of their careers.
Mina, I loved watching Tyler Lockett play football because I felt like no one ran his routes, caught the football the way that he did. It was like an original. How would you describe Tyler Lockett's style?
Yeah, the route running, the body control, I think is maybe the thing. Russell Wilson had a tweet saying he was like one of the best toe tappers of all time. And I think so many of his iconic moments were, whether it was on the sidelines or in the end zone, him somehow finding ways to get his feet in bounds improbably. There's just so many moments like that are really special. But, he was just a total package. Openness, separation, route running, hands, football IQ, really special player.
I know Tyler's a licensed real estate agent here in Seattle, but I feel like he's not done with football. Where do you think he might land next? Is there a team that you think could be a good fit?
Man, there's a lot of teams that need wide receivers. I think it kind of just comes down to role. A team, I think a reunion with Pete Carroll would be possible, although he has a sort of similar skill set to Jacoby Myers, who's on the Raiders, so that would probably maybe factor in there. Teams like, I was about to say New England, but I think they might be in the market for like a bigger number one type. Anyone who wants the Steelers are a good team that would come to mind, or you have a boundary guy, but you could use a slot guy. That would be a great destination and possibly a reunion with Russell Wilson.
New England might be looking for a bigger receiver, maybe a guy like DK Metcalf. What do you think about that situation?
I think it's about money. I said this on Around the Horn, but it really is about dollars, I think, much more than anything else. Metcalf, 1 year left. The way receiver contracts are going, wouldn't be surprised to see him want more than $30 million a year, not the top of the market, the Jeffersons, the Chases of the world, but just below that. And I think the Seahawks probably have some hesitation about giving that to him. Some of that is maybe, perceived inconsistency on his part. A lot of it, and this is what I saw on TV, has to do with the breakout of Jackson Smith-Njigba, who, really became the focal point of the offense in the second half of the season, first-round draft pick. And he was excellent last year. And, I think it's not about we see teams who pay two receivers and Njigba isn't up for a contract anytime soon. But the Seahawks might think, well, maybe that's a position where we don't have to pay top dollar for it because we have this guy on a rookie contract. And if we were able to get some draft capital, maybe you add there in the draft, go a little bit cheaper, and then you can spend some of those resources elsewhere.
DK is kind of a polarizing figure, or has become one here in Seattle, at least based on listener engagement that we get, which has kind of surprised me because initially it was like you couldn't get enough of him. He became an instant superstar, and just having this big physically gifted receiver here was something that Seattle hadn't seen in a really long time. Is there, I guess this is a dumb question, but what's your overall takeaway about DK? It's just, he is someone who has people have really conflicting opinions about him.
Yeah. Well, first of all, he's another guy who outplayed his draft status, falling like he did out of the first round. And so no matter what you think of him and where he stacks up amongst receivers, he was an amazing draft pick for Seattle and really a special player. I mean, size, hands, speed, some of the just really, really biggest plays of the last few years. And I think he's a number one. I don't think, however, you'd put him up there with the Chases and the Jeffersons and whatnots of the world. So that's where things get a little bit tricky. When your number one is sort of, borderline, I think money becomes maybe a little bit more debatable. I also think, though, you talked about him being a little divisive, obviously getting some penalties over the years, getting in squabbles on the field. Sometimes that fans struggle with that, I think, and it never really bothered me personally. But it's definitely something that comes with him and is not always there. Not all number one receivers have that.
Mina, I was excited to see what DK can do in this offense with the Kubiak offense. I felt like JSN would probably be highlighted a bit more, but I love the potential of DK on the backside of these rollouts and all that good stuff. So now JSN is sitting there by himself. No Lockett, no DK. Yeah. Fans are hollering for Jake Bobo. I don't think he would be a good number two. Maybe he'd still be on the roster. Where do they go from here? Do they look towards the draft and try to get a receiver there? Free agency hasn't been the greatest. Devontae's out there. He's getting old. Diggs is out there. He's getting old. Where do they go for their next, I guess, number two receiver?
Yeah, so the draft becomes suddenly interesting because picking where they are at 18, I think it depends on whether a couple of receivers are there, specifically Ted McMillan and Matthew Golden out of Texas. Both would be really, really good fits. I don't know if they'll be there. But if so, I think Seattle will absolutely have to consider that. Having number one wide receivers on rookie contracts or top receivers is just great value. And it's not a great class of free agents. I do think Devontae Adams is a guy who's got still something left to give. He's going to command obviously less than it would cost to give an extension to DK. You probably get out of it after a couple of years. So that's a name I would certainly consider. Otherwise, it's a lot of slot receivers, to be honest, who are in free agency. So, I don't know if they might be that is a little bit duplicative. It's just some other names that looking at my list that, again, aren't replacing DK Metcalf, but if you want to just kind of add cheaper options, Darius Slayton has speed, decent size, coming out of New York, is a name that I like, and then a guy like Amari Cooper. Both those, those are just examples of players that'll cost less than DK Metcalf. But if they were to go that route, they would really need to draft someone, if not in the first round, I would think early on.
I know recent wide receiver trades haven't netted really high draft picks. Is it wishful thinking to get like a second rounder for DK?
Well, I think if it's less than a second rounder, it's probably not worth doing. So I'll start there. And I think a first rounder might be wishful thinking because of the looming contract extension. We'll see. So I do think that's possible. I would also be interested in players. A team that's been mentioned is Green Bay, who they have a bunch of receivers. They don't have a number one, but you might be able to get a decent draft pick and a player, like a Romeo Dobbs or something. So I think that would be an option for them to consider.
Hey, Mina, what were your expectations for this team prior to DK requesting a trade, and has it changed after request? And obviously there's some work to be done with this roster, but just your expectations before and after.
I think it really depends, not to cop out of actually giving a prediction, but to me, it just really depends on whether or not they can fix this offensive line, and that's, again, suddenly it's like, well, you thought receiver was set, but now it's like, okay, we got to address both receiver and the O-line perhaps. And again, so it comes down to kind of money being cleared up and draft capital. But the interior of the offensive line, if you go into this season with that being fixed, whether it's a combination of veterans, draft picks, we'll see what kind of players they look at, then I think this is a playoff team. If they don't fix it, I don't think it's a playoff team.
Yeah. John Schneider said this is a historic draft for running back talent. Lots of rare talent here. Does that make you excited or nervous? Like, what's your reaction to that comment?
It makes me excited for teams that aren't the Seahawks. It makes me nervous. I feel like I joked on social media. I saw that somebody has to restrain Schneider from taking it. It is a really good running back draft. I will say that. And I wouldn't even mind them maybe taking a shot later, but certainly don't want to spend meaningful draft capital there given all the needs on this roster.
Challenges for Mike McDonald, right? A lot of changes happened. The offseason, Stacy and I were talking about the offseason last year. You bring in Baker, Dotson, Jenkins. They're all gone. You fire your offensive coordinator, bring in a new guy. Locke is gone. DK wants a trade. I mean, what do you think is going on in the mind of Mike McDonald, and do you feel like he is supported within this organization to help make the best decisions moving forward?
I think so. I think, he, from the outside, doesn't strike me as being like super heavily involved in some of the decisions made in personnel and offense. So as a result, he's dependent on those being good decisions. I think the turnaround on the defense last year was immensely encouraging to see. And, again, the hope is you saw what happened in Baltimore when he took over. It took some time, took longer, frankly, but they really got going year two. So I think once he gets a chance to get more of his players in the mix, more of his choices, I'm optimistic about Byron Murphy, and they are too. That should be good. And I think that, a lot is going to come down to, one, the offensive line, which I mentioned to you guys, and then the Clint Kubiak hire. That's his choice, or, he is supporting that. So I think whether or not that was a good decision or not will go a long ways to determining what kind of success he has next year.
What to you becomes the Seahawks' next big priority?
What? Sorry. Which I couldn't hear you.
Oh, that's okay. What to you becomes the Seahawks' next big priority, where you're like, as a Seahawks fan, you're like, I am waiting to hear this news?
Interesting. It's funny because there aren't that many free agents actually on this team. I would like to see them retain Ernest Jones, and I think that should be reasonably affordable. Zach Bond, who's maybe one of the best 2 or 3 linebackers in football, just signed a fairly reasonable contract, to be honest, with Philadelphia. So seeing that, I can't help but think, okay, they can get Ernest Jones done, right, for something not too much more. We all saw the effect that he had on that defense. So I would say that, the Seahawks, we don't think of as being like massive spenders, especially not early in free agency. But I would like to see them make some sort of move on the interior of the offensive line more than anything else. But, kind of a broken record when it comes to that.
How do you think this offense helps Ken Walker? Because, he's looking for the big play. And I feel like with this wide zone, Mina, there's room for the big play. You got to give it a chance to develop and then look for that cutback, something that he just loves to do. But what do you say there with K9?
Yeah, I think more than the scheme, or let me put it this way, it's if they can find, I know you guys should just press a button every time I say offensive line, but if they can find interior offensive linemen that work in this scheme, then I feel good about his potential. I think he's pretty scheme agnostic. I think you can, he has the capability to pretty efficiently run in a variety of different types of offenses, and Kubiak coming in, the wide zone, I just feel like if they can't add mobile linemen who can execute it, then it'll be dead in the water.
Yeah. She is ESPN's Mina Kimes. Mina, we appreciate you taking the time to join us last minute on kind of a hectic day for the NFL ahead of free agency. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mina.
Bye, guys.
All right, let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down, if not Sam Howell or a drafted rookie, who would you like to have as Geno's backup in 2025?
You got to have a backup, Stacy. Learned that from the Niners a few years ago. Got to have 3, actually, because guys get banged up.
And they kept getting hurt.
Kept getting hurt.
Nightmare situation.
There are some free agents out there, but you know what? I'm going to sound like a homer for this one, and I don't care because I really think that it is the best situation. It is Gardner Minshew. 68 touchdowns, 34 interceptions in his career. He's mobile enough to keep you out of trouble. Doesn't have a great record when it comes to his career record, 17-29, but he played on a bad Jacksonville team, got a couple stars with Philly, and then ended in Las Vegas with the Raiders. I'm interested to see how they feel about Sam Howell. We saw him for a game and a half or something like that this past season. Seemed like he was flustered a bit, but also you can attribute that to him not getting a lot of reps with the ones, and that counts for something. But Gardner Minshew, like I said the first time around, could be the white Jameis Winston. He has the same type of energy and vibe. He's good enough to keep you competitive. Probably not going to be the guy to get you to a Super Bowl or a playoff win. But if your quarterback goes down, you need a couple of weeks, he could win you some ball games. And he is best when he plays off the bench, not as a starter. He's that guy that I feel like watches the game, feels the game, you throw him in the second or third quarter, and he's good to go. I really like that move. I think it would create some excitement, too, around this team. We need some excitement. Yeah. DK want to be out. Lockett gone. Where are the guards? We don't know.
Where are the guards?
So to get this thing going, man, I like Gardner Minshew. Of course I do because he's a cool, but most importantly, I think that he's probably one of the better backup quarterbacks out there. So go ahead and lock him up if you don't like Sam Howell. If they like Sam Howell, you bring him back. I think he can benefit by having another year in this organization. Different system, but in the organization. Keep learning from Geno. But if it's not Sam Howell or a guy that you are getting in the draft, I say 5-5-5 for Washington State.
Second down. What's so fascinating about the greatest wide receivers in Seahawks history?
They the little homies. Everybody's looking for a DK Metcalf, and some team's going to get DK Metcalf. I'm looking at the receivers, the top prospects in the draft right now. You got McMillan, he's 6'4". Golden is 5'11", but then Burden is 6'1", 6 foot. Like, the bigger receivers are more attractive, and that's just how it goes when it comes to sports and all that good stuff. But you got 2 little guys. You have Largent, who's 5'11", 187 pounds. You have Lockett, who's 5'10", 182 pounds. Largent has 13,000 yards. Lockett has 8,000 yards, 100 touchdowns for Largent, 61 or 60-something for Tyler Lockett. It's just cool to see because when you think of the top receivers in the game, Justin Jefferson is a big boy. A.J. Brown is a big boy. Jamar Chase is around their size, but his lower half is ridiculous. You see those thighs and those glutes on that young man. It's cool to see the small guys get some love. So it's been a great 10 years for Tyler Lockett here in Seattle. He's had some big games. 15 receptions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns in 2020 against AZ. 9 receptions, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns in week 3 in 2020 against Dallas. 13 receptions, $152, 2 touchdowns in 2019 against Tampa Bay. 7,974 snaps for this team. 3-time All-Pro guy as a returner. Has 3 return touchdowns, 1 punt return, 2 kickoff returns. Come on now. And now with DK wanting to get out of here,
Yeah.
you got to reset.
Start from zero.
I guess we're starting at JSN now.
Yeah.
JSN's got to play at least 7, 8, 9 good years to even try to eclipse Tyler Lockett. So I like it. And if he does that, guess what? It'll be another guy that's about 5'11". So
The petites.
there we go. Big ups to the small dudes.
Third down. DK Metcalf reportedly requesting a trade from Seattle. This after contract negotiations stalled. What do you think was said in a meeting between the Seahawks and DK that made him want to be traded?
It's all about the money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. Cash rules everything around me. Whatever you want to do, it's all about the money. And we've got a bunch of like mixed reviews on this situation with DK Metcalf. You have some people who, and y'all got to remember on the text lines, like your history stays. So I can see you talking crap about DK Metcalf and then be like, first rounder for DK. You can't talk crap about DK and then say he's worth the first round. So y'all just remember that the history is there, but I digress. It started with the money, and then he's looking at his situation here in Seattle and realizing that JSN is probably the number 1 receiver. His style fits his offense a bit more, and then he wants to get out of here. And then we also heard from Bob Condotta that Sanjay Lau is over there in L.A. with the Chargers. And DK loves Sanjay Lau. He's one of the best teachers of the route running or wide receiver position here in the NFL. And he wants to get comfortable. And he strikes me as a West Coast kind of guy. I know he's from right down south, but he has that big personality. He'd fit perfectly in L.A. You got Justin Herbert over there with one of the biggest arms in the game. But it came down to money, and then everything else started to trickle in. If they were willing to pay the Seahawks, willing to pay DK about $30 million, he'd be like, all right, man, I guess I'll stay. But now it's like, no, we'll pay you 25. We'll pay you 26. And now he's like, well, JSN's the number 1 guy. Well, this offense isn't really tailored to what I want to do, even though I think he could have some big plays on the backside of this thing. It started with the money, and then everything else started to trickle in. If they could have met somewhere that's comfortable for both when it comes to money, it would have been good. So, big ups, DK. If you're not here, man, I appreciate the years you put in. It's been fun watching you do your thing.
Assuming DK is traded, I'm really curious to see what that new deal looks like, because it can also be really telling about the Seahawks' confidence in him. Let's say DK gets signed and it's $31 million. In my mind, I'd be like, wait, what? Like, I would just assume you'd stay around there. Like, that's not crazy money. It's a risk. But what if it's like 29 per year?
That means the Hawks are coming in really low.
Yeah.
They're coming in. He's getting 24 right now. Maybe they just want to run it back and say, look, we'll guarantee you X amount of dollars. We'll pay you 24 a year. It comes down to the dollars, man. And it could be for us a few million. We're like, what are you talking about? You're already getting 24. Sure. But to him, at his age, where he is in his career, he wants to maximize it. I'm not mad at him.
4th down. An interesting one here. What do you make of the rumors that Shedeur Sanders is having maybe some bad combine interviews?
Yeah, so yesterday we touched on this a little bit, and my initial comment was he's not going to present himself the way that, air quotes, the traditional quarterback is going to present himself. Sitting down with Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes is not going to be the same as sitting down with Shedeur Sanders. And this is what happens during this time of year, is that people throw stuff out there to try to diminish someone's character or their physical capabilities. I think everyone knows and thinks that Cam Ward is going to be the number 1 quarterback drafted, and he should be. I think he's the better quarterback. But what do you expect from Shedeur Sanders? Do you expect him to come in and tuck his tail and not be confident? And he's doing it in a way that maybe these GMs are, maybe one GM, it might have just been one GM,
right,
just isn't used to. So then you throw this out there that he might be too cocky or whatnot. You want your quarterback to be confident. You sit down with any elite quarterback in this game, they're going to be confident. This is a different breed of athlete that we're dealing with too, especially with Shedeur Sanders. His dad is Deion Sanders. Deion has pumped faith and confidence into this young man since he was on reality TV back in the day. Like, this is who he is. What you have to do is look at the film. Does he make good decisions? Yes. He's got like 67 touchdowns and like 13 interceptions over the past 2 seasons. He's completed 74% of his passes. Just because one GM doesn't vibe with how you're doing it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be another GM that likes the way that you're doing it. So it's it's tricky because once you start dealing with black men at the quarterback position and them not fitting the mold that you're used to seeing and doing it differently, one person speaks out and he's cocky, he's this, he's that. He's doing it in his way. If you don't vibe with it, you don't vibe with it. But for someone to go out there and make it seem like he's just some irresponsible kid who's never been in any type of trouble, all he does is play good football and win ball games, I think is irresponsible. So, Shador, you keep doing what you're doing. Even if it wasn't not my cup of tea, even if I sat with him and I'm like, our personalities don't vibe, I don't like his style, that doesn't mean that he's just too cocky and arrogant or whatnot. Everyone in the NFL is cocky and arrogant at some point. You have to be to have success in this league.
Let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
The Mariners take on the Royals tonight in Cactus League action. First pitch on Seattle Sports is at 5:05 p.m. Brady Henderson joining us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree. Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app. Music that moves your soul. Live at Muckleshoot Event Center, Thursday, April 24th. Get tickets before they sell out at muckleshootcasino.com.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Up top, bike shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messethorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's next tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Saturday, March 8th at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-little leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people, and we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Every window tells a story, whether it's watching your kids play outside or enjoying a beautiful sunset. This is Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Our replacement windows are designed to frame those moments. Brighten your home with our exclusive offer. Buy 3 windows and get 1 free. Call today to take advantage of this limited deal. 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Seattle Sports is in Arizona for spring training baseball. Go behind the scenes with Wyman and Bob all this week from 2 to 7
on Seattle Sports.
You've heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Since 1926, my family's been helping local businesses make great first, second, and long-term impressions. We know how to make your company look good with quality uniforms, logoed apparel, floor mats, linens, and more. If you're paying for linen service or doing it yourself, let's have the conversation. The information and quote are free, but the savings and service can really add up. Visit suplinen.com. Superior Linen Service. It's what we do.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request a complimentary design and estimate consultation at 425-629-8476 or project ideas. Explore photos at pcfgroup.com. That's 425-629-8476.
Luxury awaits at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel, where comfort meets elegance. It's Mike Salk here, and this summer you can experience breathtaking Cascade views, world-class dining, and of course the best entertainment. Elevate your next getaway by combining effortless style with the utmost in relaxation. The hotel opens this summer with deluxe king and 2 queen rooms, premiums, grand suites, signature suites, and the breathtaking views of the Cascades and the Snoqualmie Valley. For more details, go to snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
ESPN's Brady Henderson joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Brady, have you had a busy afternoon?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, busy morning, busy afternoon. I mean, I think we all understood that the Lockett thing was going to happen at some point this week, and I'd sort of heard that today was the likely day. So, I had something ready to go for that. And then, having heard some kind of smoke or seen some smoke, I guess, about the DK stuff, I was sort of preparing myself for something like that. But I didn't know that, the trade request or that a trade request would come today. But I do feel like that's a situation that has kind of been brewing for a little bit. And, certainly I don't think that's something that, necessarily would have changed any of their plans, with Lockett, nor do I think it really, impacted that decision. I don't think those two situations are really related. But I think the timing of the, of the Metcalf, of that news being leaked is interesting, and I would say it's unfortunate because the Seahawks wanted this day to be all about Tyler Lockett and celebrating his career. And I know having talked to one person with the organization, they're upset that news was leaked on a day that they were really hoping to be all about Lockett.
Why would they have the meeting today then? If they I mean, you would think they would cross their T's and dot their I's. All right, just in case things don't work out, let's make this meeting on Thursday instead of a Wednesday.
Meeting? Which meeting do you?
I'm sorry, the DK and Schneider meeting. Like, why would they time it up the way they did?
Yeah, I don't know if that necessarily was a meeting or it doesn't. I mean, that request could have just come in from DK's side from afar. It doesn't necessarily mean that they were meeting today. It could just be a reflection that the two sides have been discussing the contract and maybe they've been far apart. But I don't know that was necessarily a meeting that the two sides had today, and I would guess not, just because. I don't know, but I just know that it wouldn't necessarily have been a meeting scheduled for today.
Right.
You mentioned kind of seeing smoke when it came to a potential DK Metcalf trade. Brady, as you know, there were a couple reports as recently as just last week from the Combine. And I wanted to ask, based on the sources that you've spoken with, were the Seahawks hearing offers, actively shopping? Had they been offered, or was this something where it was just always a possibility, but maybe today it became more serious? What's your understanding?
Yeah, I know that I've been told that they have had trade discussions about DK before today, but I don't know whether that was the team actively shopping him or Seattle just, listening to trade offers, the kind of trade offers that, or trade discussions, I should say, that, I think that happens with a lot of players this time of year, especially players, going into the final year of their contracts like Metcalf was. So I don't know the nature of those discussions or how serious they got. I just know that I've kind of heard, behind the scenes, independent of what was reported at the Combine, that this situation has kind of been brewing for a little while. And, as I mentioned with Brock and Mike yesterday, I think it's fair to wonder whether this is simply a football matter, like the team doesn't think that the player is worth what the player wants, or if there's more to it, meaning if part of this too is, some stuff has gone on behind the scenes that maybe has damaged the relationship. I would wonder if that is at play here, in addition to just purely a football situation in a football question.
So where do you think the Hawks go from here? You got Bobo on the roster, Derek Young on the roster. I mentioned a few names in the draft that I think that they should take a peek at. I mean, Jason's your number one guy. How does this change, or how do you think this changes their approach to the draft?
Well, I think we got to wait and see on that bump, because I would not close the door on this still ending in a DK Metcalf extension. I mean, I think, negotiations sometimes do get to this point where, one side is so upset that he requests a trade, but this would not be the first one of those situations that, ends with the two sides coming back together and, finding common ground and getting a deal done. So I think we've got to wait. I would not assume quite yet that DK Metcalf is going to be gone. I mean, the other part of that is, look, the Seahawks would still have to, find a trade partner that would be willing to give them a worthwhile offer. I mean, DK Metcalf is a young, productive, healthy player, and I can't imagine that they're just going to give him away. I mean, look at the market for receivers who either are or potentially could become available this offseason. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, and you just saw that DK Metcalf, that Deebo Samuel, who's been a pretty good receiver for the last 6 years, the same time frame as Metcalf has been in the NFL. He only got a fifth round pick back. So, I mean, if that's all the Seahawks are going to be getting from DK Metcalf, then forget about it. Now, DK is, I think, in a different situation than Deebo because he's 23 months younger. The production has been roughly the same, but DK is younger and he's been quite a bit healthier. So that alone, I mean, the contract is the same as well. That alone, I would imagine that gets them quite a bit better than a fifth-round pick. But if that doesn't get them a first-round pick, then I just don't see that being worthwhile for the Seahawks to give up on a player who's, yes, he does need a new contract that I would imagine is going to cost them at least $30 million a year. But anything less than a first-round pick, I have a hard time seeing how that would be worthwhile for the Seahawks. I mean, let's just say, for the ease of conversation, let's say it is a $30 million a year extension. That's not a huge jump from what the Seahawks were already paying DK. I mean, his last deal was $24 million a year. So this would, I think, be kind of similar in terms of per year average relative to, how much the cap has grown in the 3 years since they did that last deal.
I guess I just assumed that the highest would be a second rounder given the past wide receiver trades. And I did think that DK was kind of in a different category based on health history, age. But I guess I was working under the assumption that second rounder was it. That's the best you're going to get. And then someone else in return. Are you thinking that there are some receiver needy late first rounders, or are you thinking there's the potential that a team like New England deals a very high pick?
Yeah, what does New England have? 5? I mean, that would be quite a bit. And who knows, maybe you swap first rounders or something like that. But, in terms of, I mean, obviously the reports from the Combine were, about Green Bay, and Green Bay being one of those teams. Again, I have not been able to independently confirm the specifics of those reports, but I don't doubt that, Green Bay, who's been looking for, a number one receiver since, since they had Devontae Adams, I don't doubt that, they would be involved in it. The Chargers are another team that would seemingly make sense. I believe Metcalf has spent quite a bit of time, in the offseason in LA. Not that he would have a whole lot of say in the matter because he doesn't have a no trade clause, so he wouldn't be in a position to really dictate where he goes. But they could use another receiver, and they've got a connection to DK in Sanjay Lal, who is the Chargers receivers coach, and he had that position in Seattle. And I think some of DK Metcalf's best football was played when Sanjay Lal was the head coach or was the receivers coach there. So those are a couple teams to keep in mind. But I imagine a receiver of DK Metcalf's magnitude, I would imagine a lot of teams would at least be interested in that.
Before we let you go, I'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about some other Seahawks potential contracts here. Are you hearing anything, Brady, about Geno Smith, about Ernest Jones?
Ernest Jones, I've not heard anything about that other than what's been said publicly. And I know that, Ernest Jones was confident that a deal would eventually get done. I think the timeline all along seemed like it would be sometime between the combine and free agency. So I would not be surprised if that happens maybe sometime, before Monday or maybe Monday or Tuesday, but, before free agency begins. And so, and then in terms of Geno Smith, I would imagine that there's motivation on both sides' part to get that deal done. Just knowing that, the Seahawks' typical time frame for extensions like that is not till later in the offseason, meaning spring at the earliest, or maybe even, right when guys report back for training camp. But this seems a little different to me that, an extension would lower his cap number by quite a bit and would give them quite a bit more financial flexibility heading into free agency. And I think it would just avoid a situation that, just based on, how upset Geno Smith was, I believe, about not getting a deal last offseason, I think you would just ward off a situation where your quarterback is ticked off and potentially enough to, skip OTAs when you really need him there, when you're installing, a new offense and whatever new receivers you have, a new offensive lineman that he's trying to gel with. So I haven't heard anything in particular on whether or not a deal is going to get done with Geno Smith. I just know that it would make sense for both sides to get that done before the start of next week.
Brady's got a column up on ESPN.com with details and everything you need to know about the DK Metcalf's trade request. Brady, busy day for you. We appreciate you taking the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, B.
Yep, you got it. Thanks, guys. See you.
All right, what I need to know coming your way next. Get your questions, any question, into the Mac and Jacks text line, 866-979-3776.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans? With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity.
So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah. Posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. Through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for 1 year and save over $1,000 in your first year versus other major carriers. Plus, ask how to get iPhone 16e on us. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus one unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Actual savings vary.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news. A CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just one dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now, all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I just had Asset Roofing come out and do a full inspection on my roof because I wanted to be proactive and handle any small problems before they became big problems, and they were extremely professional with their communication and recommendations. You really need an expert on your side, and Asset Roofing is on mine. Allow them to work for you, too. You can find out more at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Washington State ranks number 5 in the country for auto theft. The most high-risk vehicles are Kia, Hyundai, Ford F-150, F-250, and F-350. Help keep your car safe with these simple and important tips. Don't leave your car running unattended. Park in well-lit areas. Lock up every time. Keep valuables out of sight. Use an anti-theft device like a steering wheel lock. Share this information with friends and family. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. These tips brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Guys, I'll never forget the first time I saw somebody get results at our clinic. He was an 81-year-old man who hadn't been intimate with his wife in over 8 years. Viagra had stopped working for him, and he was desperate for help. After several treatments, he walked into my office and told me he couldn't believe the results. Needless to say, this was a very happy man. This man made me a believer in what we do. He had taken pills for years, but he had never fixed the problem. When he came to us, we fixed the problem. Our treatment does what no pill can do. So give West Coast Men's Health a call today. Speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today, like the thousands of men who already have.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Joining us here in the booth, Mariners broadcaster Gary Hill.
Julio being Julio is still going to matter, I think, more than anyone else you bring in. I think he can be a true difference maker, all-star MVP quality. I mean, we all know what his ceiling can be. And I'm actually really confident that he's going to have a big year. And because we have seen it in flashes where he has been among the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
Like the absolute best player that this game has to offer.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know. Get your questions in to the Mac and Jack's text line, 866-979-3776. And when I say any question or, like, what do I do moment, I mean anything. We had a listener say, would you rather have hair on your tongue or taste buds on your feet? And then they said, wait, is it supposed to be a sports question? And I said, any question. And they said, then I'll stick with the tongue, hair, flavor, foot question.
Hair on my tongue.
Yeah, and they said you can shave your tongue. But
I
you
go
have
hair on
hair
my
on it.
tongue. Because I don't want to taste everything I step on. Walking around my feet in my shoes all day, sweating and stuff.
Oh, yeah. And how do you go to a restaurant? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Take your shoe off and put your foot on the table? Smash cake against it?
Go to the beach.
You can make good money for that.
Yeah, I'm going hair on tongue. That is one of the most interesting questions I've heard.
Yeah, hair on tongue, and I will be shaving my tongue regularly because that is disgusting. What I need to know. Bad sister-in-law update. If you guys remember, a listener texted in and said, hey, my sister-in-law is a horrible house guest, but she wants to come over for 4 long weekends over the next, 3 months, and I don't want this to happen. What should I do? We said you should just say no. Just make up lies. They said, out of a misplaced sense of obligation, we offered to host them 2 of 4 weekends. Last night, my sister-in-law hung up on my wife when my sister-in-law tried to argue for more, and my wife held the line on just 2 weekends. This woman's in her late 30s. Seems like she should know better.
And she's not paying for this.
She's not. No, I don't think so. I'm not gathering that she's. Yeah.
Ma'am, you take whatever you can get. Whatever you can get. Why is this so difficult? Is she like the young child?
Has to be the younger sister of the two. Has to be the younger sister. I mean, my younger sister doesn't fight with me like that, but sounds like someone used to getting what she wants and then throws a fit when she doesn't.
Yeah.
And good on your wife and you for standing firm.
Good job.
And being like, we said 2 weekends. We meant 2 long weekends. If she's a horrible house guest and bringing 3 friends with her, that's a lot. 4 long weekends is a lot
I'm
to
gonna
host.
need $50 a head.
Yeah. What I need to know, I like this question. If you could take any 2 Seahawks receivers ever in Seahawks history and pair them with JSN for the next season, who would you pick?
We're talking prime.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf.
Current Steve Largent.
DK Metcalf and Doug Baldwin.
Curtis. Any 2 you're thinking of? All-time Seahawks receivers. And they're in their prime when you add them to this team.
Prime? Jimmy Graham. No. Doug Baldwin. And then maybe just to get a different kind of receiver
Body
out
type.
there. I'm going to say Joey Galloway.
I think it's a good answer.
Yeah.
I think you both have good answers. I agree. You need like a big body, and you kind of have 2 choices. You either pick DK or Joey Galloway.
Oh, don't forget TL, man.
Oh, you're right. Don't
man.
forget Jerry Rice.
It's
Jerry Rice.
There you go. There's your
obviously
answer.
Jerry Rice and T.O.
Jerry and T.O., yeah. Switch
those
it
are
up.
going to be my
Nuts
answers.
that they've had probably 2 of the 4 greatest receivers ever in their uniform.
They've also had Brandon Marshall here for a while, obviously of a different caliber, but still, he was like, what, a 6-7-time Pro Bowler when he came here?
He didn't make the roster, did he? Or did he play for a little bit?
He did play for a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're an elite receiver, come to Seattle to finish your career.
Didn't Pete Carroll, for almost for fun, try out LeBron?
He sent him it
was like a challenge. It wasn't like a real tryout, but it was like, let's just get LeBron in camp.
They almost got Nate Robb. Nate Robb was trying to get on.
Yeah. Let's see. Someone said you guys are joking. I know they weren't even Hawks. They just came to finish up. Yes.
If you got a paycheck from the Seattle Seahawks, you were a Seahawk.
Then Bump is allowed to
saying.
choose you. Let's see. Okay, I have a couple more. I got to scroll through this because every person on the text line said Jerry Rice. What I need to know. Let's see. Do you think DK? Okay, that's a good question. Do you think DK would have had a more productive season coming up if he actually played out his contract during a contract year?
Typically, guys ball out during that year if they don't reach an extension. Possibly, who knows, man? This offense is different. I have to see this thing work first before I can make that assumption, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder what he would have looked like with Kubiak. I know you were really high on the possibility of DK being in the system and the ways that Clint Kubiak could use him, so it's kind of a bummer that we presumably won't see that. Although Brady,
He said there's a chance.
he said there's a chance. Don't rule it out.
There's a chance, but man, I think you just got to let that go at this point.
Oh my God, someone said peak Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon.
I forgot about Josh.
Imagine
What have we said?
T.O.,
It's 1,600 yards.
and Jerry Rice all out there.
Yeah.
Prime.
With Brandon Marshall as your number 4.
God, I love remembering. Didn't Devin Hester have a second here? I love
Yeah.
remembering
Free.
random players that were with your team for a week. Adrian Peterson, you got AP in the backfield. our all-time Seahawks has like 4
Some
franchise
Hall of Famers.
guys.
That's
Franco
Hall of Famers.
Harris was a Seahawk a long time ago. Edgerrin James. Didn't you play with Edgerrin James?
I did. Taught me how to gamble.
What I need to know. Is it possible we could put a trade package together with DK for Myles Garrett?
So you're going to give up DK, you're going to give up your number 18 pick overall, and you're going to give up a futures pick. This kid in 2032 is in like elementary school right now. You're going to give up a lot. You could, but it ain't worth it.
Yeah. Someone said, what about a straight swap? I don't think so, but I
Nah.
don't think that's a serious question. What I need to know, do you think the Seahawks would, could, should try to get Devontae Adams?
I think they're going to explore it. I think it'd be negligence if they did not explore that situation over there with Devontae. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to look at a lot of options. And again, we keep hearing it's not the best market, so you might have to be a little creative or either aggressive with one of few guys that teams are going after, or really creative and do a ton of research and take a chance on a dude. But weird market. It's like you're benefiting from it, and also you will be hurt by it. What I need to know. People just keep saying, do you think you could get a second rounder for DK? I mean, do you genuinely think you could?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah. People mad we didn't put Largent on that list, though.
I mean, I'm not going to put Largent over prime Jerry Rice.
Or T.O.
But only because those two had a cup of coffee with the Seahawks is Largent not on that list.
Yeah, exactly.
We used a loophole.
We did.
We cheated.
We did.
And used a loophole.
We did some rich folk stuff.
If I did
when it comes to
Seahawks
taxes
stuff,
and all that.
Yeah, if I did Seahawks stuff, I think one of the big guys, Joey Galloway or DK, and then the other one would be Doug Baldwin. I'm copying Curtis's answer, but I think that would be mine too.
Dougie Fresh.
All right, you guys, this has been Bump and Stacy. If you missed any part of the show, make sure you check out the Bump and Stacy podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or SeattleSports.com. For Michael Bumpus, Curtis Rogers, Matt Nelson, I'm Stacy Ross. Wyman and Bob coming your way
tomorrow,
next.
Matt. Let's go.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree. Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
I was having trouble getting up and down my stairs at home. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work because how am I going to go to Utah and do some hiking?
When Judy came to Sound Pain Solutions, her knee pain was preventing her from enjoying an active lifestyle. She was diagnosed with osteoarthritis. She tried numerous treatments and was told she should have surgery. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Judy back to hiking with our comprehensive, non-surgical, and drug-free treatment.
I think that the Trigenics that they do along with the adjustment, the pressure wave, and the PRP are the best options for joint pain. And I would really recommend it to anybody who is suffering from joint pain and would like to avoid surgery.
Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our safe, drug-free, non-surgical treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit revivemenshealth.com.
The nonprofit Puget Sound Senior Baseball League plays real baseball on the best fields. The season's next tryout for adults ages 18 to 65 and older is this Saturday, March 8th at Hogan Park at Russell Road in Kent. With 10 divisions featuring different age and skill levels, there's room for almost every ball player, from ex-Little Leaguers to high school and even former college and pros. Get all the info at pssbl.com. That's pssbl.com.
In a sea of thousands of competitors, Riverside Roofing continues to stand out. And guess what? They got openings this winter for your roof project. Call 425-949-8252 or go to riversideroofingllc.com, the roofing company you can trust.
Things are just better when you switch to Cricket. The sun shines a little brighter. Happy music starts randomly playing. Best of all, you can get iPhone 13 for just $29.99. With the ultra-bright Super Retina display and up to 19 hours of video playback, all on Cricket's super-fast 5G network. See? Isn't that better? Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new account and port in on $60 plan. First service charge and tax to its sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
This is the story of the one. He's responsible for keeping a leading healthcare facility clean and safe. And he trusts Grainger's high-quality HVAC cleaning and safety products, combined with their world-class supply chain, to consistently deliver, ensuring he's covered inside and out, so he can focus on keeping his facility clean to help protect the health of everyone inside. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Progressive knows when you own a boat or RV, it's like you're automatically on vacation, even if you're actually a marriage counselor in the middle of couples therapy. But in your mind, you're camping in Acadia, puttering around Frenchman Bay. Your boat and RV are both protected. You're lobster drenched in butter and... Uh-oh, did your clients just notice you weren't listening? Quick, do the thing where you just repeat back exactly what they said, but as a question. They bought it. Now back to Maine, earning an automatic discount bundling your boat or RV with your home or auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with